is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. All 32 NFL teams taking part in this first full weekend of the preseason, and it starts tonight with the Seahawks hosting the Vikings. The Patriots host the Texans. The Packers play the Bengals tomorrow night. Is Green Bay coach Matt LaFleur concerned about quarterback Jordan Love's lack of experience?
It's not just about Jordan. I mean, you look at our receiving core, there's not a receiver over a second-year player. You look at the tight ends, I mean, we got 2 rookies out there. I would say it's the collective, the whole offense in particular.
Matt LaFleur, baseball finals today. The Orioles beat the Astros 5-4, a 2-run homer for Ryan Mountcastle. The Pirates beat the Braves 7-5, 3 runs batted in for Key Brian Hayes. According to a new book written by noted gambler Billy Walters, Phil Mickelson has wagered more than $1 billion over the last 30 years, even trying to put down a $400,000 bet on the 2012 Ryder Cup while playing for Team USA.
If you need last-minute hires in no time, you need Indeed. Their integrated hiring solution lets you schedule and conduct video interviews all in one place. Finding your next great hire has never been more streamlined. Get hiring at Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Mike Triplett in Hour 3. We'll resume our Thursday visits with Mike T. Today, we're looking forward to that. Mike D., that being Mike Denbrock, met with reporters today, so we'll get to plenty of that. And Tigers go 1-for-1 in the commitment department today. Colin Simmons picks Texas. Caden Durham, the running back, picks LSU. Shea Dixon, 1 hour from right now. Tigers are back on the practice field on Thursday. Media was allowed access. We got to watch about an hour and a half, and then afterwards got to speak to LSU OC Mike Denbrock. So we'll get into your camp report here. Of note, I guess kind of where we start, some of the big noteworthy items. Number one, Tigers were in full pads for the first time today. So we got to see LSU with some full contact drills, still mostly thudding when they go into team periods, not tackling to the ground, which is obviously a smart reason. I don't think I need to explain why. But on the personnel side, Brian Thomas was back today. Greg Brooks was back today. Josh Williams was there with a helmet on, jersey, no pads. So kind of doing some walkthrough stuff, mostly just standing and observing while he was out there. But LSU went through a full-on workout, and they're in their first full week here of fall camp. Again, the first full pad workout so far of fall camp for the Tigers. Let me run through some of the drills and what we saw. But if I were to have one big takeaway from the day, for the first time in fall camp, the defense had the upper hand over the offense. And I think ever since I and all the media that's been going out to practice and filing these reports and all essentially saying the same thing, that it has been overwhelming that the offense has been winning so far, it maybe has started to cause some concern for people about the secondary. And one of the things we've talked about is, look, it's early in camp, and the defense is going to come along. You got to trust Matt House, and the offense has a lot of these drills are skewed to favor the offense. But one of the things that I wanted to see in particular is what would happen with the receivers and defensive backs when the field shrunk, when they started doing red zone periods. And we saw some of that today. And the result was a much more level playing field. Keep in mind, a lot of the quarterback receiver drills that we get to see are or have seen up to this point are a receiver and a cornerback out wide in a one-on-one matchup. Brian Kelly even talked about this after the first time we spoke with him, the first day of camp, where he said, look, that drill is slanted toward the offense, and it makes sense. You got a 100-yard field, 53 yards wide, and there's two guys out there. There's no pass rush. There's no traffic to interrupt anything. The receiver knows where he's going. The defensive back doesn't. So there was a day, I remember, it was the first day, where the receivers, I charted 22 cornerback receiver drills. The receivers won 20 of the 22. It has been overwhelming. Today, not so much. They went into a red zone period, and we saw essentially a split. When we saw the first receivers against the first defensive backs, Malik Neighbors caught a touchdown on Zy Alexander. Mason Taylor caught a touchdown against 21. Here I go again. I need to keep my roster handy. And then it was Andre Sam who had a pass breakup against just give me a second. Let me pull up my freaking roster. I'm sorry. I chart. I do this every day. Don't worry about it. I got it. I chart numbers, and I need to start writing names because I'm still not there yet. So I'll get there. My apologies. So it was Mason Taylor who had a win against Ryan Yates, who was playing safety, and then Andre Sam had a win against Kyron Lacey. Nuss threw both of those balls. So basically, Jaden went 2 reps, Nuss went 2 reps, Jaden went 2 reps, Nuss went 2 reps. Zy Alexander had a win against Malik Neighbors. That was with Jaden. And we saw Javen Toviano. I'm sorry, it was Kamorian Pimpton caught a touchdown on Javen Toviano on a ball from Jaden Daniels. He high-pointed. It was a beautiful play. They did give Ricky Collins some reps. He threw a touchdown pass to Javen Nicholas. He threw it, and then actually Ricky Collins, the offense scored a touchdown on all 3 of Ricky Collins' reps. So maybe there's something to say is when you get to the bottom of the receiving core and the bottom of the defensive backs, yeah, you're going to slant pretty heavily. But the starters, the guys that were part of the rotation, did really, really well today. Also of note, we are starting to see Mac Markway get a lot more plays. As a matter of fact, Mike Denbrock noted today that Mac Markway has been the most impressive of the freshman tight ends. Sometimes it's interesting how we see things through what prism and then how the coaches are seeing it, because what they see may be dramatically different. We saw they split into teams or into position groups, came back and did more red zone 7-on-7. Jaden Daniels threw an interception, a ball that was tipped by Deuce Chestnut and intercepted by Sage Ryan. Garrett Nussmeier was intercepted by West Weeks. The 2 plays of the period were a touchdown from Jaden Daniels to Malik Neighbors when Malik made a diving touchdown grab in the back of the end zone. Beautiful reception. And then Shelton Sampson made maybe the catch of the day on the same goal line drill it was from Jaden. He caught the touchdown on Harold Perkins right at the goal line, full extension, like parallel to the ground, fingertip catch. Beautiful catch by Shelton Sampson. So it was a day that was certainly far more competitive. When they went into 11-on-11 and they went into full team drills, we got to watch the ones, and then they sort of shoot us out of there as the twos were starting to go because they were getting us set up for Mike Denbrock. So I charted the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7 plays that the first offense ran in 11-on-11. By the way, there was no Charles Turner there whenever they ran the 11-on-11. Marlon Martinez ran first team center. Turner was sort of in and out today. It was a little bit of a weird day for him. The first play, Jaden Daniels was pressured, scrambled. Second play was a handoff to Noah Kane, who ran first team running back. Really nice tackle by Sage Ryan for no gain. Jaden Daniels scrambled up the middle. Nice tackle by Omar Spates for little gain. The one pass that was completed was in the left flat to Malik Neighbors on Zy Alexander for a short gain. It was actually, it could have been a catch and run, but if they were live, we didn't get to see that. He caught, turned up, but he might have been down. We saw Trey Bradford get a rush to the right side for a nice gain. Then they went deep down the left side for Shelton Sampson, and it was incomplete. So it was a much more competitive day for the defense. We saw with the second unit, The running backs were Logan Diggs and Trey Bradford. And then the next receivers that went in, I shouldn't say the second unit, that rotated in. They went from Noah Cain to Diggs to Bradford. The receivers, after your first three, Brian Thomas, Kyron Lacey, and Malik Neighbors, the next three receivers were, or the next two that we saw were Chris Hilton and Shelton Sampson. So you're starting to see a little bit of a rhythm and a rotation there. We got to see a lot of the one-on-ones with the offensive line and the defensive line. Actually, the drill they're doing now is they'll line up like the left side. They'll line up the full line, the full offensive line, and then they'll have one-on-one pass rush, essentially. So the line, just so that it's in a more confined space. So like Will Campbell would go against Ovie Ogofu. Garrett Dellinger was going against Mekhi Wingo. So it was a one-on-one, but just picture like the five linemen standing there, and then only one lineman is going against his corresponding defensive lineman at a time. And this was pretty evenly split. The biggest wow was a really nice win for Deshaun Womack over Lance Hurd, where he stepped, moved inside of him, and left him in his and sort of dusted him. But then Hurd had a really nice rep against Savion Jones, who's been fantastic this camp as well. Emory Jones had a really nice recovery where it looked like Braden Swinson was going to have him beat. He recovered. Boy, there was a play where Jordan Jefferson bull rushed Kimo Macanaioli. It's weird saying Jordan Jefferson bull rushed Kimo Macanaioli, but number 99, the defensive lineman Jordan Jefferson did. And Fitzgerald West had a big win over Charles Turner, and everybody kind of went, whoa, it was the big loud reaction when Fitzgerald West had that win. So overall, it was a much more evenly matched day, and a day that really went to the defense, which I'm sure a lot of people would breathe a big sigh of relief to see the defense, especially when they went full pads, have a much healthier day than what we had seen to this point. So LSU back on the practice field on Friday. We will have media availability again. We'll look forward to telling you what we see out there as well. If you have questions about camp or players, positions, anything of interest, I tell you all the time, shoot me a note. You can email me, tweet me, text me, all that sort of stuff. Let me know if there's someone or something you'd like me to keep an eye on. I'm happy to share whatever notes I can, whatever you're looking for, because, like we say, we are your eyes and ears when we get this access. So let me know what you'd like to see if there's something I'm not talking about. By the way, they did have one other thing. There was another very long special teams segment portion of practice where it wasn't just, you know what? Let me not skip this over because I do think this is relevant. So they went with the first team punt team. This was your first team punt team. You ready? Sage Ryan, Major Burns, Omar Spates, Slade Roy was your snapper, Greg Penn, Harold Perkins, Andre Sam, your personal protectors are Ovie Ogofu, Marlon Martinez, and Savion Jones, and then Bramlett was your punter. It's all starters. It's like all starters that are on the punt team. Like they are very clearly emphasizing special teams in a very, very clear and real way, in a way that they did not do a year ago. Everyone recognized that was a place where they were weak and terrible, and the way they lined it up today was a whole bunch of starters on special teams, so we'll keep an eye on that. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. That's theantiagingclinics.com. Let me knock out a quick break, y'all. We will come back. As we mentioned, a couple of big-time recruits today made their decisions. LSU goes 1-1 in the two decisions, so we'll talk about that. And also, want to let you hear what Mike Denbrock had to say about the running back room and having 8 scholarship running backs. We'll get to that when we come back next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done with Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Of course, as we continue to remind you, the next greatest, latest promotion from Gordon is you can design Gordon's next billboard. So go to getgordonbillboards.com. That's getgordonbillboards.com. That's where you can go to find out all the info on Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you want to design the next billboard that could be up on the interstate or road, highway near you, go to getgordonbillboards.com. You can win up to $2,000 in prizes and have your billboard seen by thousands and thousands of people. Again, go to getgordonbillboards.com. Tell you every day, if you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. You need representation. Do what injured people in our state have done for 30 years. Get Gordon and get it done. You can call 888-8888. That's 888-8888. Or go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. If you've been injured, you know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before in a 2023 Infiniti QX50 at your local Infiniti retailer.
The best kept.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Well, I was on a heck of a good run, but it was bound to happen eventually. Hit it, Muse.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
You knew it was going to happen every now and again. We appreciate our friends over at Mockler Beverage and certainly Bud Light. By the way, tomorrow, the LSU, Saints, and Southern aluminum bottles all hit shelves. You can get the cans already, but of course, Bud Light is the official beer of LSU, the New Orleans Saints, and the Southern Jags. So you can get your officially licensed aluminum bottles for all your tailgates, all your parties of Bud Light starting tomorrow all across the state, and we're fired up for it, y'all. Football is almost here. Drink easy in Louisiana with our friends over at Bud Light. One more thing. You heard Garth Brooks is coming to the Superdome on September the 2nd? Yeah? Did you go?
I heard about that.
Did you go in Tiger Stadium?
Oh, yeah.
Paulie, are you no? Paulie's not a country guy. Did you go?
I did not.
You did not. Okay. So Garth is coming to the Dome on September 2nd.
Yep, heard about that.
So our friends at Mockler they have a suite in the Superdome, and they are giving away a pair of tickets in the suite to see Garth.
Nice.
Very nice. So you can go to Facebook or any other social media, search for Mockler Beverage Company. I tell you all the time, Mockler is an amazing local company. I mean, they've been in our community for 40 years, and if you are part of a church or a school or anything that there has ever been you see a Bud Light truck, the beer truck at your event, Mockler has donated to your charity, your church, or whatever. I mean, they're just amazing. They're amazing community partners. So they're giving away this pair of Garth Brooks tickets in their suite, courtesy of Bud Light and our friends at Mockler Beverage. But it gets better. I was on the phone yesterday with my buddy Chris Davis over at Mockler, and he said, hey, we're going to give you a pair to give away on AFR, independent of this giveaway. So Mockler is doing a big giveaway, like big giveaway on all their social media for a pair of suite tickets to see Garth. They are giving us here, AFR, like AFR exclusive, a pair to give away here as well in the suite.
That's 4 tickets total they're giving away then, yeah?
That is 4 tickets.
Wow.
Yeah. Hashtag math.
Math.
I'm just pretty fired up. We get to give away a pair of tickets to Garth in the suite, the Mockler suite, courtesy of Bud Light for the Garth concert on September the 2nd. They said it's totally up to me how I want to give them away, and I think I have an idea.
All right, let's see.
So this is old. This is like FM music radio, Matt, like Matt Rock 93.7, circa 2003-4, bubbling up. I think I want everybody to sing for them.
That's what I thought you were going to go.
Yeah, I want to establish a phone line where people can call, sing, perform something Garth, and we'll play them on air and let the audience pick the best.
When do we have to do this by?
Well, the show, they said do whatever we want.
Okay.
They said, Matt, do what you want. I'm like, okay, great. So I think what we'll do, we'll get the parameters all together today and tomorrow. We'll start it on Monday.
All right.
And probably run it next week and then pick the winner maybe like the Monday after.
Yeah, I like it.
I know, I do too.
It's like karaoke, basically, kind of. Except you're just doing this off the cuff. Yeah, you're just doing it off the cuff.
Or should we have people do videos?
I like that. I'm not going to lie, I do like the video aspect of it. Especially since it's not just radio only anymore.
Get creative. Yeah, get creative.
Take it out of circa 2003-4 and bring it into 2023 a little bit there. Yeah, I kind of like that.
I'm just fired up, okay? I mean, our friends at Mockler are awesome. They are, like I always say, man, they're so rooted in the community. I mean, they're the official beer of LSU, official beer of the Saints, official beer of Southern, and it was just a really cool thing. Chris called me yesterday and was like, we have this really cool thing. We want to, of course, just continue to help expand the relationship with your audience. We appreciate everybody so much. Give away another pair of Garth tickets. That's that sweet tickets for Garth. I mean, they let us give away a whole bunch of College World Series tickets.
Yeah,
but
like
I also understand, like, it was really for people who were in Omaha. There were still some great stories that we got out of that. But this is phenomenal. Like, sweet tickets for Garth in the Dome.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, it's after further review. So stay tuned. We're going to get you more info on how you can win those tickets. We'll probably announce on Monday all the rules and everything, the parameters and everything like that. So excited about it. Okay, it's after further review. Oh, real quick, Shea's here next hour in, 37 minutes. Two commitments, recruits announced their commitment today. It started with good news for LSU with the running back Caden Durham out of Dentonville.
For the next 3 to 4 years, I'm taking my talent school. Where we going?
He going to that boot.
He going to that boot. I love it. That's so good. So Caden Durham, 4-star running back. He was the top-rated uncommitted running back in the country. He's a top 10 running back in the country. So out of Duncanville, Texas, Caden Durham will be coming to LSU. It's a big get. It's a really big get for Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly to go into Texas and pull Caden Durham out of there. The not-so-great news is when Colin Simmons, the #1 edge rusher in the country, made his announcement.
With that being said, I'd like to announce my commitment to
Wait, what?
Yeah, the mic kind of cut out at the end of that one.
Well, he did this whole thing where he shuffled the hats. Like he took an LSU hat and he put it on and took it off. Then he had a Texas hat. He put it on, took it off. and then put the Texas hat on.
Another Texas hat on, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, so Colin Simmons picked Texas. Today went as we thought it would. So you miss out on Colin Simmons, but you get Caden Durham. We'll talk to Shea again coming up here in about 35 minutes from right now. We'll get his take on the decisions today, but then also where this leaves LSU and how they proceed here moving forward. Caden Durham, though, you getting that commitment from Caden Durham, I think is I'd like to explore a little bit, because this is one of the best running backs in the country, and one of the things we're talking about right now with LSU running back is how deep they are. LSU has 8 scholarship running backs right now. 8. As a matter of fact, Mike Denbrock earlier today talked about the depth that they have right now at running back. Can you play that? It's 21. Can you play that one, please?
It's exciting that, there are so many running backs that could step in and play. Does that allow you to do a little bit more of a 2-back system? Okay, if those guys separate themselves as the most athletic guys and they got to touch the ball, why not? I think what it allows us as much as anything is, going back to the versatility question, a lot of different options that we can explore, not only early in the season, but as the season goes along, and God forbid this guy gets banged or that guy gets banged. We have the athleticism and depth necessary to be able to be versatile in what we do.
So he's taking the fact that they got 8 running backs and he's spinning it into a positive. He talked the same thing about tight ends and the receivers as well, and I believe him. But when you look at next year, there's a real possibility that you're going to lose John Emery after this year. Real possibility like Josh Williams will be done as well. Noah Kane. I mean, that's 3 of your 8 right there. And then beyond that, could someone who isn't maybe as involved as they want transfer? That's always a risk. So your 8 could be cut in half next year, realistically. So getting a guy like Caden Durham is really significant to that end. He's a 4-star. In the composite, they rate him as the 95th overall player, so he's a top 100 player in the composite, the 9th best running back in the country, the 18th best player in the state of Texas. So you're talking about a guy that everybody wanted. LSU, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Alabama had offers from all of them. And you went into Texas and got him. So I know there's always this thing where in recruiting, I think this is symptomatic, not of LSU fans, of like every fan base. You tend to focus more on the players that you don't get instead of the ones that you do. You bemoan what you could have had and missed out on instead of what you got. And the reality is it's just a numbers game. You're not going to get everybody. And I know people say, well, why wouldn't Colin Simmons come here? I don't know. Maybe he wants to stay in the state of Texas. Maybe as a child he grew up wanting to play for the Longhorns. Maybe this is his dream school. Maybe they gave him a better NIL pitch. I don't know. Maybe he's got friends there. Maybe he's got a girlfriend he's chasing there. I don't know. Why does any high school kid make the decision to go to school where they go? I don't know. You do your best. You do your research. You decide what's best for you, and you go there. And you don't begrudge anybody for it. You just got to make sure that if you're LSU or any school, you're signing 25, thereabouts, really good players at positions of need, so you keep building your roster. And LSU's well on their way to doing that. So they miss out on Colin Simmons, but they get Caden Durham. And, the next big one, obviously, is Dominic McKinley, who will announce September the 1st his college decision. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. As I mentioned, we did get to hear from Mike Denbrock today. Well, let's hear much more. Mike Denbrock went in depth on all of the freshman tight ends earlier today. And then also, he had talking about, there were so many of the questions were sort of compare now to a year ago. Keeping in mind, we just don't get to talk to Mike Denbrock very often. So the fact that we did get him today, there was an opportunity to say, how much further along are you this year from last? Jaden Daniels this year from last. Actually having depth and a solidified offensive line. And it really paints a picture of just how much further along the offense is now than they were a year ago. So we'll get to a lot of that as we sprinkle it in throughout the show today. All right, we're glad you're aboard with us here. Let me knock out a quick break. Of course, our Thursday shows are brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. When we come back, we'll go around the SEC and the absolute latest, the ACC expansion, the conversations of adding potentially Stanford and Cal. Those have hit a roadblock. We'll fill you in on the latest when we come back on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Darren James & Associates, brokered by eXp Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. Agent225.com. That's agent225.com. Whenever Erica and I bought our home, the home we're in now, of course, Darren helped us buy our first home. He sold that first home, helped us buy the home we're in now. I remember going to sitting at the closing table. And even though I've known Darren forever, we've been not only, obviously, we're sort of, I endorse him. We have this business relationship. We're also great friends. I've known Darren a long time. And Darren treated me the way he treats every other one of his clients. When we were leaving, he had a bag of housewarming goodies for me, like he has for all of his clients when you go to closing, things that you would need when you're moving into a home. If you want moving services, Darren has contracted to get you a deeply discounted rate to bring movers into your home. He thinks of everything. Call Darren James. Get your home sold.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 9.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
LSU basketball has wrapped up its 3-game tour down in the Bahamas. Today, the Tigers played their 3rd game against Obras of Argentina, to the indoctrinated. 118-79 was the final. So, a really good trip for LSU basketball. As we've talked about, a lot of new players. Matt McMahon had to go hit the transfer portal hard and clearly did so this year. You brought in some local guys like we've talked about a lot, Carlos Stewart, Jordan Wright, Jalen Cook. You went and added some bigs from which you absolutely had to go get rim protection, which they did. And the Tigers, aside from the first game where they were up big and blew a 20-point lead, and rallied to win, which was actually kind of good to see that they faced some adversity and rallied in the final minute. to take the lead and win. They pounded their opponents the last two games out. Today it was, as I mentioned, 118-79 against Obras of Argentina, and in game 2 they were. Forgive me, I don't see the final score here from game 2 yesterday. But either way, point being, LSU had a really good performance there, literally playing at a ballroom at Atlantis. Atlantis is the resort there in the Bahamas. So that's where they were. They were at Atlantis, and there's just a big hotel ballroom that you could see if you see any of the videos on the LSU basketball social media. They just put a basketball court in a hotel ballroom. I mean, imagine whatever. Like, you go into the Renaissance and you go into their big ballroom where they have all the big events. Just imagine they put a basketball floor in there. That's what it is. So, in any event, Tigers go 3-0, and hopefully, one of the things, talking to a lot of guys over the years that have gone on those trips, that they'll tell you really maybe the biggest benefit, obviously getting to play against someone else, but when you leave your day-to-day grind, your day-to-day hustle, it gives the team an opportunity to bond, right? Like, whenever a lot of the baseball guys will talk about this as well. Like, whenever they go on that first road trip of the season, when the practice ends or the game ends, you're not going your separate ways. You're all going to the same place. You're eating all your meals together. You're staying in the same hotel, all that stuff. So hopefully for this basketball team, which has a lot of new pieces, there's that component as well of bonding and them sort of starting to gel together. Hoping for a much better year 2 under Matt McMahon than what was a really, really challenging year 1. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. I'll give you the absolute latest on the ACC expansion with Cal and Stanford here in just a second. Quick reminder about Mold Zero, mold-0usa.com, mold-0usa.com. It's been really cool to talk to Jim and some of his partners at Mold Zero to hear a lot of the great success stories. A lot of you who have heard me talk about Mold Zero, you've called. There are some city parish governments around the state of Louisiana who've hired Mold Zero to clean some of their public buildings. Certainly homeowners like you and me, if you have mold in your home, if you're a business owner, a restaurant owner, maybe you own a gym, maybe it's a school with a locker room, and you have odor. Of course, Mold Zero can help as well there. It's a patented, non-toxic dry fog treatment. Just a phone call to let Jim explain the whole treatment to you and how it works. You'll be blown away. It's more cost-effective. It's safe. It's more efficient as well. You're not cutting sheetrock and pulling up carpet. If you have mold or think you might, Mold Zero can help. Mold-0usa.com. Mold-0usa.com. All right, y'all. It's after further review. I'm going to bypass doing a traditional around the SEC today because I wanted to make sure I got this in here. The ACC presidents met on Wednesday night to discuss adding Cal and Stanford to the ACC. I think everybody knows by now, last week, the Big 12, or the Pac-12, excuse me, as we know it, is sort of dissolved. There's only 4 teams remaining: Washington State, Oregon State, Cal, Stanford. And Cal and Stanford are the more appealing brands of the 4. And so the ACC apparently was the presidents were talking on Wednesday night about the possibility of adding Cal and Stanford, but they adjourned without a vote. Heather Dinich of ESPN on what went wrong.
No kidding, there's roadblocks in the ACC right now because just days ago, Florida State's president came out and said, give us more money or we're going to leave. And now they're talking about the possibility of adding 2 schools on the West Coast, knowing that it doesn't provide financial value to them. So I can't make sense of this for you because it doesn't make sense geographically or financially. So 12 of the 15 schools, and that includes Notre Dame, which is a member in all sports but football, has a vote, have to agree on this. And it doesn't surprise me in the least that they can't agree on it.
It's interesting. That was Heather Dinich of ESPN. Heather also mentioned there Notre Dame. Remember, while Notre Dame doesn't play football in the ACC, they are an ACC member in every other sport except hockey, where they're a member of the Big Ten. Obviously, not many leagues play, Power 5 leagues play collegiate hockey. As a random aside, that's also an illustration of how things can be structured in the future when we do go, as I keep saying, to one college football. Notre Dame is a great example of that. They're an independent football. They're in the ACC and all other sports except hockey, where they're in the Big Ten. So there's ways that all that can be worked out and structured, but you'll cross that bridge when you get there. But what's interesting is Notre Dame has a vote. So Notre Dame is at the table in these ACC expansion conversations. And Notre Dame, according to these reports, from Pete Thamel and others, are pushing to add Stanford and Cal. Notably, Stanford's, they have a long-standing relationship with Stanford. But apparently, that's not something that sat very well with a lot of the university presidents who are kind of snarking at Notre Dame, going, man, you're not even a member in football, which is what this is all about anyway. Why do you have a say? Heather Dinich went on to talk about where Notre Dame fits into the whole realignment conversation.
Notre Dame has reiterated its clinging to independence, and Jack Swarbrick has also said repeatedly, including again this morning, that there are 3 things that could change that. That's loss of a broadcast partner, which isn't happening anytime soon, obviously, not a suitable home for the Olympic sports, also not on the horizon, and then also not a fair route to the college football playoff or the postseason, also not happening anytime soon. So nothing would surprise me more in all of this realignment mess than to see Notre Dame relinquish its independence.
So don't expect Notre Dame to join a conference. Expect Notre Dame to remain independent. And one more from Heather Dinich. Again, this was on Get Up earlier today on ESPN television. So what's next for the Pac-4, the Stanford, Cal, Oregon State, Washington State?
I would say Oregon State, Washington State should find a home pretty fast, and I still think the most likely landing spot is the Mountain West. What happens to Stanford and Cal starts that domino.
And the most interesting there with Stanford and Cal is they have reiterated Stanford has been very bold in reiterating they want to play Power 5 football. Well, if you're Stanford and the ACC doesn't want you, and the Big 12 doesn't want you, and the Big 10 doesn't want you, then what do? You likely go independent. So do we see a world where Stanford goes independent in football and finds a home for the Olympic sports in the Mountain West or somewhere else? Perhaps, if the Mountain West is open to that. So file it away. We'll continue to follow it, but Stanford going independent would be fascinating. What does Cal do? That might be a completely different scenario because Cal certainly doesn't have the brand or the brand awareness to be able to float independence the way that Notre Dame has. Now, it's worth mentioning that until BYU just joined the Big 12, they too were independent. So that's not altogether. Navy for a long time was operated as an independent. So before they joined the American. So there's a lot of different scenarios unfolding, and we'll continue to follow. Of course, Around the SEC is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. You know where to find them. GCOPnet.com. GCOPnet.com. Face-to-face sales service after the sale. I'll tell you that every day. They can get to you same day, worst case scenario, by 10 a.m. the next day. That's when you've got warehouses in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, on the North Shore and Lafayette. They're never far. Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com. GCOPnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Shea Dixon in 18 minutes from right now. Looking forward to having Shea here to talk about the commitments today. Colin Simmons picks Texas. Caden Durham picks LSU. So what does this mean for the Tigers, and where do they go next to try to fill that edge rusher role? We'll talk about that with Shea coming up here in about 17 minutes from right now. Well, now I got a quick break. We'll let you hear much more from LSU OC Mike Denbrock as we move throughout the show. The Saints are back on the practice field. Mike Triplett in Hour 3. Ton to do, and glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
You know, I tell you every day about River City's 1 Hour Air and how they have double the amount of 5-star Google reviews than the next closest competitor. How about this one from Kayla Howell? This is really an illustration. My experience was amazing. With them arriving, River City's 1 Hour Air called to let me know they were heading to my house. They texted me a picture and the name of who I should be expecting. Cole, the technician, arrived promptly and immediately got to work. He was super friendly. He explained things. Doesn't mind you hovering over and asking questions. He looked up our warranties and everything for us. He ordered our parts and returned the following day. I immediately joined the club services because of how amazing Cole was. Ask yourself this question. How often do you have contractors and technicians come to your home and provide that level of service? Well, if you're asking about River City's 1 Hour Air, then the answer would be always. 752-0001, whether they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets.
After further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
You know, I often say that you, a lot of times, are my eyes and ears. I'm one guy, so a lot of times there's things that I just don't have enough bandwidth to see everything. So a lot of times you all send me links or stories or things that I might have missed. Shout out Garrett Pizzolato, who sent me this. He said, no, I'm sorry, it was, was it Garrett? No, it wasn't Garrett. Who sent me this? Man, I'm trying to give a shout out to the person who sent it to me. My apologies, man. Oh, it was Jordan Mumphrey. Thank you to Jordan Mumphrey who sent me this. But shout out to Garrett anyway. So he said Chip Kelly must listen to AFR, and it was a screen grab of this from John Canzano, who's a friend of ours. John was a longtime writer for the Oregonian. He now has his own independently operated website, does radio up in Portland, and we got to know John pretty well when back in 2011 when LSU and Oregon were playing in the season opener. We did a lot of reciprocal radio. He was on 3 to 6 Pacific. I was on 3 to 6 Central. So like he'd come on my show, I'd go on his show. Anyway, John does a great job. When you're looking for like Pac-12 West Coast stuff, he's one of the main voices up there. He does a fantastic job. Well, Chip Kelly of UCLA, which is now leaving the Pac-12 for the Big Ten, was asked about all this and what may happen. Here's the quote from Chip Kelly to John Canzano, quote, "Notre Dame is an independent in football, but they're in a conference for everything else. Why aren't we all independent for football? Take the 64 teams in the Power 5 and make that one division. Take the 64 teams in the Group of 5, make that another division. We play for a championship, they play for a championship, and no one else gets affected. Our sport is different than everybody else. We only play once a week. Travel's not a big deal for football, but it is a big deal for other sports." y'all. You know the whole thing about a blind squirrel finding a nut, the broken clocks right twice a day, all that sort of stuff. Like, make all the jokes you want. But this is the thing that I have literally been talking about here for years. And a lot of you have laughed at me for a lot of years for saying it or suggesting it. And now you're having administrators and head coaches say it and suggest it. And it's going to crystallize more and more and more that that is the path we are going. I just told you about Notre Dame. Independent football, ACC for all other sports, Big Ten for hockey. Like, there's a way to do it. And ultimately, that's where we're going to head. To get there, you're going to have the power schools sever off the bottom, because the bottom is going to feed from the teat as long as they can. The group of five is never going to voluntarily sever themselves from the Power Five, because that's their cash cow. They're suckling at the teat. Like, they get the payouts from the butt kickings they take and the garbage games that nobody wants to see. Although everybody in the Mountain West, and by the way, now I have Old Dominion people after me now on Twitter.
Hey, we're nice to them. We always talk about them beating Virginia.
I know. Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
But
same thing.
But
really,
Old Dominion people are after me on Twitter now after the rant last week. Or I guess it wasn't really a rant. I was just actually very calmly on Twitter explaining to people why nobody cares about the group of five, which they don't. I will watch, because I will watch football. If football is on TV, I will watch it. And even more so now that sports betting is legal via the app. I'll punch up the DraftKings app, and I'll be right there with you for some Tuesday night Maction. Our buddy Stephen Miller, he's like the Maction king. He's out there lobbing bombs every day. Maction bets. I'm with you. I'm there. Give me it. Give me football. But don't tell me to emotionally care. And don't try to convince me why anybody playing in a group of five deserves an opportunity to play for a championship among the Power Five. You don't. You never will. So this is where we're headed. It is an inevitability. We are going to get there. It's just a matter of how many more steps do you take. Like, you could do the one big leap. You could rip the Band-Aid off and just go. Or you can just, like, slowly. You know what? Have y'all ever heard of hostage tape? You ever heard of that before?
I recall you talking about it once on Riot Radio.
Yes. No, it wasn't Riot Radio. We talked about it. T-Bob and I talked about it on Scone and T.
That's what it was.
So if you haven't seen this, if you snore, hostage tape basically prevents you literally put tape over your mouth. It's vented tape you put over your mouth when you sleep. It forces you to breathe through your nose. I use it. It's a miracle thing. I don't snore anymore. I don't want to say it saved my marriage, but it saved Erica's sanity and has allowed her to sleep much more because I don't snore anymore. But in the morning when I have to take it off, I have to peel it so slowly, right? It's just like a little bit, because I don't want to pull my lip and I don't want to pull my hair. And so taking it off, it's just that little process. But I could just go and just rip it right off, but I don't. College football's in a similar place right now. They're just very slowly and painfully, one little quarter millimeter at a time, pulling the tape off their thing. There goes a whisker, and there goes part of your lip skin and all that sort of stuff. And then they're just doing it. It's just a very painful way to go about doing it. It's just a slow. College football is choosing the slow, painful way to go about getting to our inevitability, the inevitable end to this whole thing. Just rip it off. I like that analogy, actually. That was pretty good. Thought it made sense.
I like it, yeah. I mean, anyone can just do the rip off the Band-Aid analogy. I mean, let's get creative here. I like it.
Took it to the next level. That's what I did there. All right, it's after further review. So you can always text me, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Oh, do we have the new Juice clip?
My mic went on. I do have it.
Oh, my God. Muse. I mean, I feel like, Paul, let's give him a round of applause. Let's give him a round of applause. No way, Muse.
Appreciate it.
Stay hot.
Yep.
You actually did your job.
I do.
Okay, so you can always tweet me or X me.
Hey, Twitter. Oh, no, not Twitter. Hey, X World.
Oh, you left off George.
Yeah, I did leave off George because that's already 4 seconds long.
I don't care. I don't care that it's 4 seconds long. I want it. All right. By the way, did you see Phil Mickelson gambled $1 billion?
I did see that.
So there's a book by a guy named, it doesn't matter his name. Billy Walters is his name. and he estimates, he's like apparently the biggest sports gambler in history. He estimates that over the last 30 years, Phil Mickelson has gambled more than $1 billion and actually tried to wager on Team USA in the 2012 Ryder Cup, wanted to bet $400,000. He said, he told Phil, quote, "Have you lost your bleeping mind? Don't you remember what happened to Pete Rose? You're seen as a modern-day Arnold Palmer. You'd risk all that for this. I want no part of it." Anyway, none of that bothers me at all. I don't really care. Guys bet. We all bet. It's whatever. I'm just surprised that Phil has $1 billion to bet. Now, this is over a very long time, but apparently Phil Mickelson, his net worth is approaching $1 billion right now. So good for you, Phil. How about Lefty getting it done?
There you go.
Billy for Phil. A Billy for Lefty. All right.
A Billy for Philly.
A Billy for Philly. Make the T-shirts. It's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. Shea Dixon coming up right after Sports Center. Hour 2 of AFR is next.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, Michelli.com. I was having a conversation this morning, actually, with a buddy who his company used Michelli for something that they needed specifically. And we were pointing out the fact that, every day on these reads, I mention that Michelli offers ISO 17025 accreditation. And it's interesting because I know that 99.9% of you listening right now have no idea what that is. Heck, I don't even know what that is. But if you know what that is in your specific industry, you know why it's so important, why you need it, and why it's important that Michelli offers it. So, yes, Michelli offers ISO 17025 accreditation. It's right there on the homepage of their website. If you want to learn more about everything that Michelli offers, it's there at Michelli.com for Michelli Weighing and Measurement. You can hit the products and services tab at the top to see a list of everything that they do. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Online at Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com.
At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota 4Runner for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new Toyota 4Runner for only $489 per month. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. It's the first full weekend of the NFL preseason. 2 games tonight, the Patriots and the Texans in New England. The Seahawks play the Vikings in Seattle. The Mississippi Supreme Court denies an appeal from Pro Football Hall of Famer Brett Favre. Favre will still be a defendant in a civil lawsuit, hoping to recover millions of misspent welfare money in the state. In the aftermath of last week's upheaval in the Pac-12 and elsewhere in college sports, will Florida State leave the ACC? ESPN's Heather Dinich.
I just don't see anything imminent happening with them leaving. A, because these other conversations are on the table, and B, because as we sit here right this skinny minute, they've got nowhere to go.
Heather Dinich on First Take. The first weekend of the PGA Tour playoffs underway in Memphis. Right now, Jordan Spieth and Tom Kim share the first-round lead at 7 under. Nick Kyrgios withdraws from the U.S. Open. No reason given. That means he will miss all 4 Grand Slam events this year.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Mike Denbrock met with reporters earlier today after LSU practice. A lot to say about the tight ends, which is also his position group. So we'll get to that in 15 minutes. Big recruiting day today. Caden Durham, the running back out of Texas, picks LSU. Colin Simmons, the edge out of Texas, picks Texas. Shea Dixon of On 3 is here with us to talk about it. How are you, Shady?
I'm doing well. It's kind of like a mini signing day, so it's wrapping up.
Any surprises with the decisions today?
I don't think so. Not at the end of the day. We knew that LSU felt good about things coming out of that Bayou Splash recruiting weekend when both these guys, both Caden Durham and Colin Simmons, were there. They simultaneously both said they were ready to make an announcement and do it on the same day ahead of Duncanville and their senior season at Duncanville. And it was a little bit of a surprise to see Simmons push his decision up. A lot of people thought he'd take it to signing day, but Durham had always kind of wanted to get something done before his senior year. And I think if you would have asked me 4 or 5 months ago about Durham, I think it would have been a little bit of a surprise to say, wow, LSU pulled this off now when they put Frank Wilson in charge of getting a running back. And he says, I'm not going after anybody else in America but one person, and that's Durham. I'm not surprised that he pulled it off. He's one of the best recruiters out there. Right. But Durham's a kid that you got to think, yes, he's playing for Duncanville, one of the best teams, high school football teams in the country. They're probably going to repeat as 6A champs in state of Texas, and they've got tons and tons of D1 talent, well beyond these two on the squad, and LSU's never gotten into Duncanville for a recruit. So to go in there and get one guy was a big deal. Then you knew you were up against Oklahoma, and Durham didn't even move to Texas and play at Duncanville until just before his sophomore year. He lived outside of Norman. That's where he grew up in Oklahoma. His mom is a very decorated sprinter for the Sooners. His dad still lives right outside Norman. A lot of his family does. He's got 405 tattooed on his leg. I mean, this is a kid who truly grew up around the OU program. And for Frank Wilson to make the pitch that he did of, here's my track record of producing guys, here's what they've gone on to do in college and the NFL. When Durham stacked that up with DeMarco Murray, who was a great running back in college, running back coach at OU, what kind of his track record was, and those of other schools, there wasn't much of a match, is what Durham said, and that really sold it on him. And when you asked Caden about it today, even when we talked to him, he could reel it off. 10-plus running backs into the league in this amount of years. These guys went on to do this at LSU and then in the NFL, and these guys won Super Bowls, and it was very clear that LSU kind of dug their heels in and said, we're going to get them, and ultimately they pulled it off.
Hey, Shea, is there a top 100 player overall, obviously top 10 running back? Is there a comp for him, style, body type? I know everyone always asks that question, but anything come to mind?
You know, there was a comp made today. I wish I could grab it for you real quick of kind of what the breakdown was. Maybe I'll look here while I'm talking and give it to you. But Cody Belair is one of our recruiting directors and kind of in charge of rankings and scouting at On3, weighed in. Here you go. Javid Best, if you'll remember him at all, who was a big-time Olympic guy too. But Best is, probably my age, so he's in his mid-30s now. But for those that can remember, he was a pretty good football player. He was drafted. He was an Olympic track and field guy, and played really well out at Cal whenever he graduated from college and went on to have multiple years in the NFL as a first-round pick into the first round. But he stacked up their kind of production coming out of high school, and then what they've done track-wise. And you look at Caden Durham, he's also 5'10", 200. But we're talking about a kid who he runs a sub 4.4, but he's got a handful of sub 10 threes in the 100, which for non-track people who don't know, that's absolutely ridiculous for, a skinny kid to run, not even a 5'10", 200-plus pounder. Got plenty of sub 21 5s in the 200, so he's got some extra burst to him. This is a guy who track, he's got an LSU offer. Football, he's got an LSU offer. He plans to do both. So it's rare. I can't remember LSU. Maybe you can correct me, but LSU having a running back that, beyond Trendon Holiday, I guess, running back receiver, that did both in college, and Durham's set to do that.
Shea Dixon's with us from On3, the Bengal Tigers, on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Okay, let's talk about Simmons, the one they didn't get. Obviously, the best edge in the country. What ultimately swayed Simmons to commit to the Longhorns instead of LSU?
I summed it up as this. I thought that Texas was going to have to do everything they could to get him. And when I was talking to some people about it on the Texas side, they said, here, I'll try to make you understand how big of a need this is to Texas. This is Leonard Fournette to them. This is the number one prospect in the country. This is, if you don't get him, heads will roll type situation. You've had multiple years. And then they pointed out a reality that I didn't realize. In the past decade, the state of Texas has only produced 2 5-star edge rushers. That's pretty surprising to think about. Neither of them went to Texas. One of them was Miles Garrett, who obviously went to A&M. The other, Clayton Smith, who went to Oklahoma. And across those 10 years, only one time did Texas sign the number one player in Texas, and that was a number of years back, B.J. Foster, who's a safety. So to couple a 5-star edge rusher and the number one overall prospect in Texas, which Simmons is both, made it a must for Texas. And I'm not surprised that LSU held some high confidence coming out of that Bayou Splash weekend when they had both he and Durham on campus, and Simmons did not visit anywhere else that week in between dead periods, and it then said, hey, I'm going to announce in 10 days. And everyone thought, okay, LSU's in a pretty good spot here, but what is Texas going to come back with in terms of surging? And they did just that. And I know some people will point to NIL. I think that really it's the comfort of both being close to home. He said his mother, he's got a brother who's autistic. He didn't really want to leave too far home. This gives him a chance to not be too far of a drive from South Dallas to Austin. But he also gave the quote, and he said, hey, look, I wanted to be able to take care of my mom and brother, and Texas stepped up and is providing me that opportunity. So whether that's NIL promises, whatever it might be. I just think that at the end of the day, there was no way Texas was going to lose this one, or as people on the Texas side said, heads are going to roll in that building. And as a staff, whenever you've got that kind of pressure on you, not just to win games, but go out and get the number one player in your state, and your hit rate is 1 of 10 over the past decade, it becomes all the more paramount that you've got to find a way to pull it off.
I love the comp with what Leonard Fournette meant to that LSU class, because you're 100% right. That was a you will get this kid or else type thing. All right, what does that mean for LSU, Shea, as we look at the class right now? I would assume, obviously, if you can get Colin Simmons, anybody would take him. But is LSU in need of an edge or multiple players at that position in this class?
I don't know about multiple, because we're still seeing, look, they signed a 5-star edge in Deshaun Womack this past cycle. It was just, now we're wondering, is he more of a D end or an edge? And
right.
Either way is fine, because he's a great player. I think right now, we've been out there. He's getting used to the heat, the conditioning, and all of that. Give him a month, and I think that he will be just fine. He's a phenomenal player. But they also signed Jackson Howard. They signed Dylan Carpenter out of Santa Monica. So they do have some edge rushers. Now, they did go a bit of Colin Simmons or bust, right, where other edge rushers were interested, and they focused in on Simmons. Did they kind of circle back and go to some of those other guys? We'll see. I do think that with the addition of Durham, it's becoming a very, very impressive class in regards to, A, addressing a lot of the needs, but B, the majority of these 24 commitments are really good players. And when you look at the On3 rankings right now, LSU just jumped from 10 all the way up to 6. So they're sitting behind just Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, Florida, and Florida State. So they've put themselves right back in the mix to where a month ago people were wondering, is LSU recruiting going to heat up? They're not even in the top 15. This is foreign territory. And I just said, look, be patient. And sure enough, they reeled off 5 or 6 pretty big commitments. And for me, I just turn and look now and say, okay, well, Texas just locked up the number one player in their state. Does LSU do the same? And Dominic McKinley out of Acadiana is a 5-star. He is a defensive lineman. And maybe more importantly than edge rusher for LSU, he's a defensive tackle. And they have not stacked up at that position recently. And we've seen them on the field relying on just a handful of guys last year. I mean, Mekhi Wingo and Roy were having to carry them. Now we're seeing Guillory as kind of that pure nose that they're working this year. And they had to go really heavy in the portal to get guys who could even be backups and more options to the guys beyond the starters. So to not hit on a guy like that would sting in a big way. So if I'm LSU, I'm doing all I can to make sure not only the number one player in the state and a 5-star stays home, but a guy that's a big position of need. And he's set to announce, I don't know, do the math, September 1st, a few weeks, whenever Acadiana kicks off their season.
Do you have any sense on McKinley? I know he told Sam Spiegelman there with On3, he's down to Oklahoma, A&M, Texas, LSU, and Ohio State. And any sense, Shea, how that's going?
I think that all of those schools probably have a little bit of confidence, in large part because 4 of them, not LSU included, LSU doesn't typically do official visits for in-state kids during the summer. They like to save those to closer to signing day. But he took his official visits to those 4 schools. So I think that's what's got them all in the mix there. I think that when you look at the reality of Ohio State, he's been very high on them quietly, but that's pretty far from home, and family is a big deal to him as well. I also think that just kind of the structure that Brian Kelly has in terms of selling both education and playing for championships is something that's really resonating with the McKinley family. And the more that LSU kind of pitches that and gets around them and makes them that priority, the better I would feel about LSU. I will say that because of those summer visits, that even if you were talking to LSU sources, they would say, hey, look, we had to play from behind a little bit here, but you've got a few weeks, and then after that, I guess 4 months until signing day, but somehow, some way, they absolutely have to find a way to get this one done. So I think that I would be a little surprised if they couldn't, whether it is on September 1st or whether it's in December, if they're not signing Dominic McKinley. That would kind of surprise me a bit.
He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon, On3 the Bengal Tiger. It is Cruton season. I guess it's always Cruton season, Shady. We appreciate the time as always, man. Thank you.
I'd say that's why all these coaches go in the NFL. Recruiting season never stops. I mean, this is nonstop here.
We appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Later, Matt.
All right, be well. It's after further review. We always appreciate Shea and his time. We'll knock out a quick break, come back. If you want to weigh in on that, you can. But I do want to let you hear from Mike Denbrock, who talked about all 4 of the freshman tight ends. And the JUCO guy nobody's talking about, who apparently is going to have a really big role on this team. Stay here.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Renaissance Hotel and the Watermark Hotel, 2 amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge. I tell you all the time about Tallulah at the Renaissance. Chef Jason Hebert is a Baton Rouge born and raised chef who has gone in some of the greatest food cities in the world and worked, from New York City and Maine down to San Francisco and points in between. He's brought everything that he's learned here to the Renaissance Hotel in Baton Rouge at Tallulah. Tallulah is a chef-curated menu. It is casual, upscale dining. You will have an amazing meal at an affordable price with a great ambiance, which is perfect for an affordable business lunch, perfect for that Sunday brunch, or if you want a glass of wine and a cocktail after work, a night on the town, Tallulah inside the Renaissance is a perfect spot for you. Check them out right there on Bluebonnet. Just walk into the Renaissance Hotel. You'll see Tallulah as you walk into the left there at the Renaissance Hotel.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you.
Experience luxury like never before in a 2023 Infiniti QX50 at your local Infiniti retailer.
The best kept secret.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
All right, y'all, glad you're rolling along with us here. Always appreciate our friends at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I got a ton that I want you to hear from LSU OC Mike Denbrock, including talking about the tight ends. But we got a little breaking news here from NFL insider Jordan Schultz. Jordan Schultz is reporting that the New Orleans Saints are signing a linebacker. And a linebacker that many people around the NFL and around football should know very well. Jordan Schultz is reporting that the New Orleans Saints are signing Jaylon Smith. Had a workout with New Orleans today on Thursday and is signing with the team. He was a Pro Bowler back in 2019 and was with the New York Giants last season. This is my first reaction to this is that I really like it. And I guess in my mind, I had really sort of wrapped my brain around what I hoped would be the reality of the Saints signing Anthony Barr. But remember, a week ago when we were here, just to follow, my contention has been linebacker for the Saints wasn't a want or a need. It was a must. You absolutely had to add another linebacker. And not only, remember Mickey Loomis in camp? The day before camp was starting, Mickey Loomis said there were some positions where they felt like they wanted to add players with NFL experience. Remember that? Can you get that, please, if you remember where it is? But that was the day before the Saints started training camp. And it was clear he was talking about linebacker. Because you lose Caden Ellis in the offseason. So you go into this year with Demario Davis, with Pete Werner, and then DeMarco Jackson, who you drafted a year ago, Andrew Dowell, Zach Bond. Okay, well, now Dowell tore his ACL. He's done for the year. Demario Davis has a calf strain, which has had him on the shelf, which I'm not worried about Demario Davis. He's been incredibly reliable and durable during his career. Just get him ready for the start of the season. You don't need, Demario Davis doesn't need camp. But Pete Werner in his 2 seasons in the NFL has yet to play a full season. So that's where the concern comes in, right? The 2 guys you have, you like a lot. And if I could guarantee that those guys would be on the field playing at full bore every play for 17 games, great. It's just not something that you can confidently guarantee. So when your next best guy, Andrew Dowell, who's really been a special teamer, he goes out for the season. Now you're left with Zach Bond, who has been a disappointment. And I don't know that you can sell me all you want about Zach Bond finally making that progress, but it's clear that he's a guy who's out of position. He needs to be more of an outside guy in a 3-4, not an inside guy in a 4-3. It's just not a fit. It's not working. That's okay. It's a miss. Misses happen. And if you get something out of him this year, great. But you already needed, so basically you're hoping, knock on wood, fingers crossed, pray to sign of the cross. You're praying that DeMarco Jackson becomes a dude. And I hope that works out. But if that's your hope, that ain't okay. It's why Mickey Loomis the day before camp said this.
There's probably a couple spots I don't want to identify him. There's a couple that I wouldn't mind, having another player that has played in the NFL, but nothing glaring that I'm losing sleep over.
Okay, so he could say it wasn't glaring, that it wasn't losing sleep over, but it's glaring. You needed linebacker help. So we started looking. A week ago, I told you, look, go target Zach Cunningham. Former NFL tackles leader, former All-Pro, go get Zach Cunningham. He's on the street waiting to be signed. Well, Zach Cunningham ends up signing with the Eagles. So he's off the table. They bring in Anthony Barr. Have a great workout with Anthony Barr. He leaves without a contract. He wants to go take some other visits. Okay, the Saints just didn't have the luxury of waiting. Jaylon Smith, if you remember, was a 5-star who went to Notre Dame and was an incredible player. I mean, he was a unanimous All-American at Notre Dame, a magnificent college football career. He was a 2-time, he was a first-team All. He won the Butkus in 2015. And if you remember, his situation was awful because he suffered that devastating injury in the Fiesta Bowl against Ohio State. It was the devastating knee injury that essentially cost him his rookie season. He was going to be a no doubt slam dunk, top half of round 1, potential top 10 pick in the draft, and then he suffered that knee injury in the bowl game, and a lot of teams, they didn't know if he'd ever play football again. Well, Dallas took a shot on him early in round 2 at pick 34. They essentially punted his rookie season. They said, look, take your rookie year as a redshirt year. He comes back in 2017 and becomes a really good player. He starts every game for Dallas in 2018, 19, and 20. And he played in every game in 2017. So he played in every single game for 4 consecutive years for Dallas. And then in 2021, there was a little bit of a contract issue. Remember, they drafted Micah Parsons. There was a little bit of a contract issue. They wanted him to waive an injury clause in his contract or something like that. He wouldn't do it for 2022, so they let him go. So he spent 10 games with Dallas that year to start the season. And then, he played in 10 games that year. He played 4 with Dallas, 2 with Green Bay. They waived him. Then he went to the Giants, and he finished the season with New York. 2022, New York signed him to their practice squad. Ultimately, they activated him, and he won the starting middle linebacker job. He beat out Tay Crowder. And he ended up making 11 starts, including starting in the playoffs for the Giants last year, and had a really good year. In his 11 starts, played in 13 games, 11 starts, he made 88 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. I mean, he was a really productive player for the Giants last year. And what I like about it as well, for Jaylon Smith, it's really just one thing. It's, are you healthy? Jaylon Smith is 28 years old, y'all. We're talking about Anthony Barr, who's 31. Not that that's a massive difference, but in NFL terms, 3 years can be a sizable thing. So, again, I'm not asking Jaylon Smith to come in and be my starting inside linebacker and give me 100 tackles. I'm saying, can you come in and give me depth from a veteran player who has been in this league, who made the Pro Bowl in 2019, who's been a super productive guy? You know, his first 4 years in the league, these were his tackle totals: 81, 121, 142, 154. He was a fantastic player at the beginning of his career after he got healthy from the knee injury. So if he's 80%, 75% of what he was when he was a Pro Bowler in 2019 and when he had 154 tackles in 2020, you give me a guy that can be in this defense what Alex Anzalone gave you, which is a guy that can come off the bench, spell your starters, be a rotational piece. If you have an injury, of course he can start. And maybe there's tremendous upside there to where he wins a starting job. But I love it. I mean, this is exactly the kind of signing you need. Not a guy that you need to come in and be the guy, but a dude that's been the guy who still has gas left in the tank, who you can bring in and say, I need you to be a rotational player for me, a depth piece. And if we need to ask you more to put it into overdrive, he can be that guy. Would you rather Jaylon Smith or Zach Bond? Would you rather Jaylon Smith or DeMarco Jackson? At 28 years old, yeah, give me Jaylon Smith. Especially when I looked at him last year, and he beat out Tay Crowder, won the starting job in New York, started 11 games for him, had 88 tackles in just 13 games played, and played in the playoffs for him. Yeah, give me that guy. I love it. There is a very fair question of, well, if he was so good, why did New York let him go? And I don't know. I don't cover the Giants every day. I don't know the ins and outs exactly of what's going on in their defense and why they would let him walk. But he was a productive player for the Giants a year ago. He's played in 87 career NFL games with 69 career starts. He was productive a year ago, and he's absolutely a player at a gigantic, glaring position of must. Not a position of need, a position of must for the New Orleans Saints. Saints add Jaylon Smith, former Notre Dame linebacker, of course, was drafted by Dallas, floated around in 2021, landed with the Giants where he played last year. Now it looks like he'll be with the Saints in 2023. All right, it's after further review, y'all. Glad you're aboard with us here. We're brought to you by our friends over at Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. Speaking of tread left on the tire, if you are losing tread on those tires, get on by and see the Shaw Bills Tread Checker over there, of course. Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. Go to the website. You can schedule service online. You can find the location nearest you. You can shop tires online. Just find the location when you hit Find Tires. Select the location nearest you with 18 locations across South Louisiana, from Morgan City, Baton Rouge, Denham Springs, Laplace, over to Lafayette, Youngsville, West Baton Rouge. It's at Shawbills. And remember, Shawbills is hiring as well. You want a career instead of a job? You want to work for a place that treats you like family, that has competitive starting pay, a bonus structure, an employee tool program? They got it. It's Shawbills. Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, we keep you rolling. Okay, so I wanted to talk there about Mike Denbrock and the comments Mike Denbrock made about LSU's freshman tight ends, but the Jaylon Smith news came in, so I wanted to get a reaction to that. Let me break. When we come back, I'll revisit what Mike Denbrock had to say about LSU's tight ends today, in particular, the freshman tight ends and the JUCO player who nobody's talking about, but may very well be pretty impactful on this LSU team. We'll tell you why. We'll let you hear from Mike Denbrock next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
after further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Tigers are back on the practice field on Thursday, and when we were watching 7-on-7s, we saw Kamorian Pimpton catch a touchdown pass, high-pointed a ball, which was really was a fantastic catch. And he is a guy that the freshman tight end, 6'6", 230 pounds, that has gotten a lot of people's attention because physically he is impressive, man. You look at this big old dude wearing 88 who towers over basically everybody on the offense. And for very obvious reasons, he is an attention getter. LSU offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock not only is the offensive coordinator and play caller, but he also coaches the tight ends. So he has gotten to see these guys in their position group work up close and personal here over the week plus of fall camp. And so I wanted to ask Mike Denbrock. So I did ask Mike Denbrock earlier today when we had a chance to visit with him about the tight end room. And it's interesting because you have Mason Taylor, who had such a good freshman season, but then after him, you've got 4 freshmen. So you're very young there, but you've got a lot of talent. So it's fascinating to watch this room because of the level of talent, but how young it is, but compared to the expectation. Now, he started, and I didn't lead him anywhere. I just asked him if he would mind sort of giving an overview of that room, and so he went player by player, and he started, of course, with Mason Taylor.
Mason obviously had a solid year for us a year ago, looking to build on that. Love where he's at from a physical development standpoint, and think the completeness of Mason Taylor's game is really going to come through this year that you guys are going to see. I don't know that I would call him a killer as a blocker a year ago. However, he learned how to survive and did a nice job and continued to develop as the year went along.
Mason, I love Mike Denbrock's candor. Mike Denbrock is like if your dad was the football coach. That's what it's like. And you love him. I mean, Lee Vanna, the Advocate, has pointed this out so many times. He is effortlessly loud. Like when you're on the practice field, he's not yelling. He just is loud. And when you listen to the sound bites, you can kind of hear it as well. Anyway, he most of the time Mike Denbrock's out there with his hat on backwards. I mean, he's like a guy in his mid-50s with his backwards hat. It's just like dad. It's like dad's coaching football. And he's a brilliant offensive play caller and offensive mind and all that stuff. But I don't know how you can not love Mike Denbrock. But it was interesting because after he mentioned Mason Taylor, I was curious what order he would go in as he talks about the tight ends. And not that this is illustrating anything, but so often, like, we see things and may think a certain thing, but how the prism through which the coach is looking is very different. So I was thinking to myself, okay, well, which of the freshmen is he going to mention first after he mentions Mason Taylor? Well, he didn't mention a freshman first. He mentioned the JUCO transfer.
More of a big body inline tight end who I think has experience in his knowledge of what we're doing comes along from a physical standpoint. He's certainly there, but he's swimming a little bit mentally. But I like what I've seen from him from an aggression standpoint.
That was Connor Gilbreth. Now remember, Connor Gilbreth is a JUCO who is going to be an offensive tackle. Like that is the plan. He's listed right now around 265 or 270, but the plan is to put weight on him and make him a tackle. And I will tell you, one of the days last week when we got to watch LSU at the indoor, and it might have actually been Monday of this week, when we got to watch LSU for the first 15 minutes or so indoor, and when they were going with the first team offense, running their 2-minute drill, Connor Gilbreth was in with the first offense as the second tight end. They had Mason Taylor flexed, and they had Gilbreth as the attached tight end. So don't be surprised if you see 89 running with the first team offense as essentially a sixth blocker. After Gilbreth, though, then Denbrock got to the freshman. And the first freshman he mentioned was the guy who on the first day was taking the first rep after Mason Taylor, and that was Jackson McGowan.
Unbelievable route runner, understanding of the passing game, how to create space for himself, how to break down people in man coverage, is somebody that can definitely help us in the passing game. Now, he's got to continue to work on his weight. He's like 230 pounds. I don't know that I want him blocking many defensive ends. So he's still coming along.
They have him listed at 6'4", 235, and when you hear Denbrock talk about Jackson McGowan, he's basically talking about a big receiver, a guy that's not big enough yet to be taken on defensive ends at the SEC level, and it shows. You see 83 run out there on the field. He's small for among the tight ends. But as far as a route runner pass catcher, he's advanced. And so that makes it really appealing. But the guy who Mike Denbrock said has had the best camp so far is the guy we highlighted the first day, who physically is impossible to miss because he's built, I think, as I said, he's built like a rectangle. I mean, he's built like a refrigerator. I mean, he is just a solid mass of body who also is a very fluid route runner with soft hands, and that is Mac Markway.
Mac Markway in particular has had the best camp so far as moving himself in a position to contribute to the team. Through a physicality standpoint, I think he's moving better in space. So there's some things that he can also give us in the passing game, which is welcome.
Mac Markway is, when you see him, you will understand what I'm saying. Jackson McGowan is light. Kamorian Pimpton is raw. Mac Markway looks the part already. Like, he looks like an SEC tight end. He's 250, 255 pounds. He is rock solid. He's got this giant trunk, this lower half, so he can put his hand on the ground and move bodies, but he's also a very fluid route runner pass catcher. It is not surprising at all for me to hear Mike Denbrock say Markway is at the best camp so far of the freshman tight end. He is, when you think about, I'm gonna use this term loosely. Please don't, I'm not saying he's these guys. When you think about Gronk and Kittle and Kelsey, the big physical inline tight ends who can also run and catch and make you miss, that's him. I'm not telling you he's going to be an all-pro. Okay, I'm just saying think that mold. He's not just a blocker like Gilbreth, and he's not just a light route runner like McGowan. He's the blend of them. Now, he's a freshman. But when you look about who could be the traditional tight end that Brian Kelly has always had, now he's had the athletic pass catchers, he had Alize Mack, who the Saints drafted. But when you look at the traditional tight end who can put his hand in the dirt and block, who can also go out and catch passes for you, it's Mac Markway. He's the one who is closest to that now. And then, of course, there's the guy that's gotten everybody's attention, and that's Kamorian Pimpton, who was the Vanderbilt commit. And, man, I'm going to tell you, I don't know how everybody in the country missed on Pimpton. How he ended up as a Vanderbilt commitment is kind of stunning. But he's at LSU now, and Mike Denbrock talked about the guy that has gotten a ton of buzz in this camp.
An unbelievable physical talent and a raw piece of clay that any tight end coach in America would love to have to work with. And he's got the ability at already gaining probably 15 pounds since he's been here and getting to 245 as a true freshman, an opportunity to help in both areas of what we ask our tight ends to do, provided he continues to develop, and I believe he will.
You already got him at 245. What's he going to look like at 260, 265 as an 18, 19-year-old becomes a 20, 21, 22-year-old? You're looking at a guy with the tremendous upside, right? Like, you're looking at that. I mean, the thing that made Jimmy Graham so tough to deal with for so many years was, as a 6'6" dude with amazing athletic ability in the red zone, just throw it up. Throw it up to him. And Pimpton might be that guy on this team already. One more from Mike Denbrock, though, his feelings overall on this tight end group.
There's some blessings aplenty in that room. We got to figure out who fits best and where and how to really utilize those guys the best way. But it's exciting, and it's been a little bit of a journey kind of getting that room where we thought it could really contribute to the way that I believe it will this season.
It is so interesting that for years, the joke at LSU, if you ever listen to Gordy and Charles on the post-game show on Eagle 98.1, for years, callers would call in, why don't they throw it to the tight end? Like in the 90s, the joke was, why don't they give the ball to Tommy Banks? In the 2000s, it was, why don't they throw it to the tight end? Like, that was just always the ongoing joke with LSU football, although it was rooted in reality because Les never threw to the tight end. They never used the tight end in the offense. And then here comes Brian Kelly, and all of a sudden they have just kicked that door in, and there is an abundance of talent at that position. You should be excited about it. Okay, let me knock out a break. Muse will have Tigers in the pros when we come back. I got much more from Mike Denbrock, and then Mike Triplett is with us in 30 minutes from right now. Fired up to have Mike Triplett with us again this football season, every Thursday starting now for as long as the Saints are playing. So excited to have Mike Triplett with us coming up in 30 minutes from right now. Stay with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Every day you hear me talk about the Aeon Mosquito Eradicator. You can get it at Clegg's Nursery. If you want to spend time outdoors, hey, look, I last night actually went and sat outside. I watched the Johnny Manziel documentary on Netflix, and I watched it on my back patio. Was not bothered at all by mosquitoes because I've got the Aeon Mosquito Eradicator and or mosquito barrier. And what was also interesting is that although it's been really hot, it was very pleasant out last night after the sun went down. So if you want to enjoy your outdoor space, but you don't want to be bothered by mosquitoes, go by Clegg's Nursery and pick up the Aeon Mosquito Barrier. You've heard me talk about it. If you're watching, here's a picture of it. It's a box, it's a little rectangular box. It's $24.99. They got it on the shelf and on the end caps. You will have coverage up to 90 days without mosquitoes. Just try it. Go by Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you.
Experience luxury like never before in a 2023 Infiniti QX50 at your local Infiniti retailer.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. And
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. And Mike Triplett, 25 minutes from right now. I mentioned I did watch the Johnny Manziel documentary on Netflix last night. I want to react to it. The most amazing part of it, I don't know if you've seen it yet. I mean, I guess this is a bit of a spoiler, so maybe change the channel if you don't. Manziel acknowledged he attempted suicide. He wanted to spend all of his, as he said, he wanted to spend all of his money. He went on about a $5 million bender. Just wanted to spend all of his money and then kill himself. And he bought a gun, and he pulled the trigger, and he said the gun just clicked. He has no idea or explanation why. Sometimes it's... maybe this isn't a sufficient explanation for many of you, but sometimes it's just not your time. So I thought it was well done. I want to get some more comments on that in the next hour. But you see, Muse, I put my Netflix subscription to use.
I know. I'm glad you haven't canceled it yet. There's plenty of good stuff on there. You should watch Quarterback. That's really good.
Definitely not going to happen.
Well, there you go.
It's not that I don't want to. It's just it's just not what I spend my time on. When was that? Let's see. That was when I was on vacation. So that was Memorial Day, thereabouts, when I was off for a week. And we subscribed to Netflix. And I think that is maybe the second thing I've watched on Netflix since beginning of June. So 10 weeks, I've watched maybe 2 things on Netflix. Yeah, it's probably not worth the...
Probably not.
It's probably not. Muso, Tigers in the Pros. Hit it. Go ahead. There it is. There it is.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
All righty, we'll start with Paul Skeens. He can still throw the baseball very, very well. 1 inning in his professional debut, he was perfect. Up to 101 miles per hour. Struck out fellow top 5 pick Walker Jenkins on a 99 mile per hour fastball. So 1 inning, perfect, and a K for Paul Skeens. And then they said, go stick the arm in some ice, big fella.
I tweeted the video. It was like, why would, and with the caption, like, why would they let him pitch in rookie ball? And the response from some, I know it's just Twitter, but it's like, and I did laughing emojis. They're like, because he's got to. Look at what, like, no.
You don't have to.
You don't have to pitch in rookie ball. Like, you can go straight to the major leagues. Yeah. The team has your rights. They can put you at any level they want. Rookie ball exists for rookies who maybe aren't ready to jump into an in-progress minor league season, so put them in rookie ball. Paul Skeens pitching in rookie ball is completely mindless and senseless. Unless if this was just, which clearly they let him throw 1 inning. It was, hey, just go get a lad, just work up your arm a little bit. Okay. But from my point, I'm like, why wouldn't you just shut him down? That's really the point. Is like, the big club isn't anywhere near contending for a playoff spot, so why not just shut him down? It's like, hey, you're not doing anything until spring training. See ya. Anyway.
Yeah, it's one way to look at it. I thought if they did pitch him, he probably would have started in single A. The rookie league thing was a surprise for me. He doesn't belong there. Dylan Cruz wore the collar last night, 0 for 5.
Oh, he stinks.
He'll be back. Gavin Dugas wore the collar last night, 0 for 2, but did reach base twice via the walk. Also drove in a run and scored a run on his own, of his own. Surprisingly, I have not been able to find, or it hasn't been in the box score at least, that he's been hit by a pitch yet. So don't worry, it's coming, and we'll keep you updated when it does. Braden Joubert sticking in single A, 1 for 3 last night with a double, his first career double. He would come around to score as well. There would Braden Joubert. Andrew Stevenson, 1 out of 2, his 7th triple of the year for Andrew Stevenson. Also walked twice and scored 2 runs in the St. Paul Saints victory. And Michael Papierski, 1 out of 3 for Pap last night. 2 runs scored, an RBI and a walk, so he was all over the base paths. Alex Bregman, if we move it to the professional ranks, a 3-hit night for Bregman with 2 RBI and his 15th double of the season.
How did my guy Hunter Freducia do last night?
He was not in the lineup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, gave him a Veterans Day off there, Matt. Yeah.
Deserved it.
Guy's hitting like 300.
He's been toting the mail.
Yeah, he's carrying the Oklahoma City Dodgers.
Carrying the load.
And finally, a preview for tonight. Aaron Nola on the bump for the Phillies against division rival, the Nats. 9-8, looking for win number 10 is Aaron Nola. That is Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Baton Rouge, 2 locations in Baton Rouge, corporate and in Bocage. Corporate and Bocage in the Mall of Louisiana, Lafayette, shout out to our Lafayette folks. New Orleans and Shreveport. And online at lmfj.com. Gentlemen, thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, it is after further review. We'll kick off hour number 3 right after SportsCenter. Don't you move.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. They do it all. They do it better than everyone at Relief Windows. And, there's a lot of places that can sell you windows. A lot of places. But not all of those places are owned and operated by Brandon Holly. And when you call Relief Windows and you have a Relief Windows technician come to your house, and when the measure tech comes and they measure twice and install once, and when they clean up after themselves as if they were never there, and when they're polite and they go above and beyond to make sure you're thrilled with the work that they do, you understand why they're Relief Windows. You understand why they're different, because they're not just selling you windows. Anybody can sell you windows. It's about selling you that customer service experience, and nobody does it better than Relief Windows. It's windows, door, siding, but it's also experience, quality, and service at Relief Windows.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. Recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The NFL season kicks off 4 weeks from tonight, but for now, it's a 4-day weekend of preseason action starting tonight. The Patriots play the Texans, the Seahawks play the Vikings. When the regular season does start, will Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow be ready? ESPN's Diana Rossini.
There is significant concern in Cincinnati that Joe Burrow will not be ready to go week 1. They're going to be very conservative from what I can gather. They're not going to try to roll him out there, push him out there, knowing how competitive the AFC is.
Diana Rossini on Get Up. Burrow has a right calf strain. 49ers wideout and return man Ray McLeod will be out for about 2 months with a broken left wrist. He got hurt during Tuesday's practice. The San Francisco Chronicle reports 49ers CEO Jed York is being sued for alleged insider trading and violations of federal securities laws. Those violations connected to his role with Chegg Incorporated, a company that's accused of helping college students cheat during online testing.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser,
Hey! Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Musu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Mike Triplett in 15 minutes from right now. Fired up about it. We have an opportunity to visit with Mike Triplett every Thursday, heretofore until the Saints season ends. So we'll take it through obviously, Saints' first preseason game is on Sunday in the Dome against the Chiefs, all the way through the regular season, and what we hope will be a very long postseason run for the New Orleans Saints as well. Tigers were back on the practice field, as were the Saints. We're going to let you hear more a bit later in the show from LSU OC Mike Denbrock, in particular what Mike Denbrock had to say about Jaden Daniels, his development, and the massive progress the offense has made year 1 to year 2. So we will get to all of that. Glad to have you with us here. Very quickly, though, I want to circle back to the Johnny Manziel documentary. I did watch it last night. I'll try not to give any spoilers, but I don't so much want to unearth everything that was said in the documentary, more so what I think some of the important overarching takeaways from that will be. So I'll get to that here in a second. Every day, more watch lists come out, and today we saw the Butkus Award watch list come out, which is given, of course, to the best linebacker in college football. Devin White won that award back in 2018, and there are 2 LSU Tigers on the Butkus Award watch list this season. It's senior transfer Omar Spates and sophomore Harold Perkins. I normally wouldn't go to this point already, but I think Harold Perkins has a legitimate shot to win that award. Harold Perkins isn't going to win the Heisman. No defensive player will, okay? So you need to flush that. But so often, like, Devin White deserved to win the Heisman in 2017. Devin White deserved to win the Butkus in 2017. But so often with national awards, you have to show out before you can win the award. Grant Delpit is a great example of that. Grant Delpit should have won the Thorpe Award in 2018. He was the best defensive back in college football. Quite honestly, 2018 was the best season for a safety in LSU history. Ryan Clark made that very loud declaration, and a lot of people looked at him kind of cross-eyed, but it was 100% true. It's not to say he was going to be the best pro. Or it was 2018, Grant Delpit had the best season for any safety in LSU history. The next year, in 2019, he battled some injuries and wasn't as productive, but won the Thorpe because he had built the reputation already. And I don't want to say it was a total reputation vote because he's still really a great player. But I think you understand the point. You have to build the reputation so often before you can win the national award. Johnny Manziel winning the Heisman as a freshman is the outlier. I mean, you have to come out of nowhere and do something so supernatural and extraordinary to be able to win a national award. Well, Harold Perkins did that. Harold Perkins did the supernatural, extraordinary thing as a freshman, and now as a sophomore, coming into college football in his sophomore season, changing positions, he's going to be prime. Remember, we didn't even really see Harold Perkins emerge until after the Tennessee game. After the Tennessee game, it was like, all right, put the kid in there. And then he had the season he did the rest of the way that we all got to see, notably starting with Ole Miss, and then what a monster performance he had against. I mean, look, he kept flashing, but of course Arkansas was sort of the benchmark that everyone's going to point out and should point out. But Perkins is a guy that, again, if LSU has the type of season we think they will, and if he's a 100-tackle guy and double-digit tackles for loss, and maybe most importantly, when LSU plays these games on a big stage, Perkins flashes again, that's how he can cement himself for this award. I mean, Will Anderson's a great example of that a year ago. Will Anderson had a far better 2021 than he did 2022, in large part because he was impossible to ignore after the season he had in 2021. So you saw teams try to avoid him. That season in 2021, he had 17 and a half tackles for loss. A year later, 2022, he had just 10. I'm not trying to minimize 10 tackles for loss, but the point is, that was sacks. Forgive me. The tackles for loss, he had 30. Will Anderson Jr., as a sophomore, had 34 and a half tackles for loss and 17 and a half sacks. He went from 34 and a half tackles for loss to 17, and from 17 and a half sacks to 10. Those are still amazing numbers. Like, if you look up at the end of the season, you go ahead 17 tackles for loss and 10 sacks. You're like, geez, this is the best season ever. And except you look at what he did as a sophomore. So, point being, Perkins had the giant year already. Now he should be able to capitalize even as a sophomore this year. All right, it's after further review. Tigers are back on the practice field tomorrow. We do have more media availability for practice tomorrow, so we'll be able to tell you what we see tomorrow. Love telling you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online. southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. You want something new? You want something affordable that's also stylish and luxurious and safe and fun to drive? That may seem like a pipe dream. Not if you go to South Point Volkswagen. A Volkswagen, you get the great German engineering, manufactured right here in the US of A at their Tennessee plant. So you're getting the great German engineering. You're supporting American jobs and the American economy. You get a luxury vehicle, priced to sell, with 9 different IIHS top safety picks, the highest safety designation. So you get the peace of mind of knowing you're driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. And man, will they go. It's fun to drive. South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer, airline just north of Highland in Baton Rouge. Remember, if you're in Lafayette, Southwest Volkswagen, same great ownership group right there in the 337. It's South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? So the Johnny Manziel documentary is out on Netflix if you want to check it out. I watched it last night, so spoiler alert. I don't want to ruin it for anybody if you haven't seen it yet. But so maybe change channel. But I won't give away too many spoilers. Obviously, Johnny Manziel's acknowledgement that he is bipolar, and I don't think that necessarily will come as a tremendous surprise. He acknowledged that he was so unhappy in Cleveland that he intentionally tried to sabotage his time there so that they would release him. All things that he acknowledges and owns up to. Johnny Manziel said that he attempted suicide. He was going on. He wanted to spend all of his money and then kill himself. He tried to shoot himself, and the gun just clicked when he pulled the trigger. And some of those things are jarring, but it was also really fun to and for Johnny Manziel the person, you hope that he gets into a healthy place. He seems to have reconnected with his family, and he's in a much better place now. Just from a human standpoint, you hope he gets it together and continues to stay on the straight and narrow and can achieve great things in his personal life, whatever outside of football, whatever that may be at whatever point it will be. But the real fun part of the documentary is we got to relive 2012. Now, they conveniently, as they were going game by game, skipped over the loss to LSU in College Station that day. They did note his first start when they lost the season opener that year in College Station to the University of Florida. But they skipped over the LSU game, unfortunately. We're kind of going game by game, and they highlighted, naturally, the Alabama game, which was stunning. And Johnny Manziel and Texas A&M went on the road to Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama in a game where Manziel went off. They were up early and held on late. And it really is just an excuse for me to play my favorite soundbite ever by an LSU athlete. This is my 17th year covering LSU. 17th football season. And to this day, this is still my favorite soundbite ever. And I was standing right next to Sam Montgomery. LSU beat Mississippi State in Tiger Stadium that night. Earlier in the day, of course, Texas A&M and Johnny Football beat Alabama. In the postgame, it was my buddy Eric Ritchie, who I was standing right next to Eric, and Eric asked Sam Montgomery his reaction when he heard that that Texas A&M had beaten Alabama. Here's what Sam said.
Texas A&M, like I told you, Johnny Football is nothing to play with. He's not. And, one of the things about Johnny Football is, like I told reporters before, my hat's off Johnny Football. If there's anybody that should win the Heisman, Sam Montgomery's vote would be in for Johnny Football. I feel as though he makes people have to sit back. You wonder why we didn't have any pass rush that game? Johnny Football makes you not pass rush. He makes you sit back and have to play him. You have to make Johnny Football a passer. You have to have something. That kid's unbelievable. I just don't know how to stop him.
What was the feeling that you got when you heard that Alabama had lost?
Johnny Football. That's the first thing that popped in my mind. And does anybody know the stats? Because I bet you Johnny Football had one marvelous performance.
Stats, anybody?
A couple of touchdowns. I know he has some passing yards and he has some running yards. The kid's he's a quarterback and he's a leading rusher in the SEC. Heisman, give it to him.
Still to this day, my favorite. Sam Montgomery said Johnny Football 8 times in a 60-second clip. It's just Sam Montgomery was the best. All right, I got a break. But the other thing that I really wanted to get to about the Manziel documentary is he went into great detail about his autograph signing and how he was making hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions, in that 2013, after he won the Heisman in 2012, he went through the whole thing of how it went about, how they concocted the whole thing about how he came from a rich family because people were like, how is he courtside? How is he flying private? They concocted a lie that he came from a rich family, an oil family. So the Heisman and the NCAA popped Reggie Bush, and the Heisman took away Reggie Bush's Heisman. They're coming after Johnny Footballs? By the way, they shouldn't. They should give Reggie Bush his back. and all the NCAA yahoos who keep vacating wins and championships and all that stupid stuff, they should reinstate all of those. All right, let me go to break. Mike Triplett next.
AFR.
HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Had a bunch of homes in the Preserve at Harveston here in the Baton Rouge area, and in Oak Hills, sort of off of the Highland-Segan area as well. Just absolutely hammered by those storms last week. And so our inspectors are finding a ton of roof damage. Maybe you've seen shingles on the ground. Maybe you're not sure if you have roof damage. A surefire telltale is if your neighbor has roof damage, you probably do as well. If your neighbor got an inspection, you should get one. If your neighbor's getting a new roof, you should probably be calling as well. HUDCO Roofing. Do business with someone you know. Ask about fortified roofing. Remember, the state legislature passed fortified legislation in the most recent session. You can save up to 52% on your homeowner's insurance with a fortified roof. Let us explain. Learn more. HUDCO Roofing. Do business with someone you know. HUDCOroofing.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind. When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Mike!
Yeah?
Saints coverage with some Mad Libs mixed in.
Why don't you just
Go by Mike.
It's time to talk black and gold with Mike Triplett of New Orleans Football, presented by Benny's Car Wash, family owned and operated since 1951.
It sounds good. It feels good. Must mean it's football season. Mike Triplett, New Orleans Football. Back for another year, courtesy of our friends at Benny's Car Wash. How are you, Mike?
I agree. It feels like football season.
When you hear the sultry tones, I don't know who's doing the Be Like Mike jingle. I don't know who did that jingle, but whoever did, hat tip to him because it sounds magnificent. Hey, man, give me a thought if you would. First preseason game coming up on Sunday to this point in camp. If you were to give me sort of the overarching theme feel, what is it right now?
I think it should be pretty optimistic. All the major questions that we have are on the right track. Derek Carr looks like what he's supposed to be in this offense. He's got it running pretty smoothly. The major injury concerns we had, I think, were Michael Thomas, Trevor Penning, Cesar Ruiz. They all look a little rusty still, and we're seeing inconsistency on the field, but we're seeing them on the field every day. Defensive line was one of my biggest concern areas. I feel better about the defensive line. So I haven't necessarily gone from thinking this is a 10-win team to a 13-win team, but all the reasons that they looked on paper to be the team that should win the NFC South, it appears to be coming together pretty well.
We did get some news today about the Saints signing Jaylon Smith. Jordan Schultz had the report. Thoughts on the Saints adding the veteran linebacker?
Yeah, they've obviously been looking at that position because they brought in Anthony Barr for a visit too, and these are no small names. This is not special teams depth. This is guys that I think they want a third guy that they can rely on. Now, there's a lot of guys competing for that number 3 spot right now in Zach Vaughn and Nephi Sewell and DeMarco Jackson. I don't think this means that Demario Davis is hurt worse than we think. I think that's going to be a short-term injury, and we've already seen him off to the side working with trainers. But they get scary thin behind Pete Werner and Demario Davis. And Dennis Allen has openly said he's waiting to see a guy emerge behind them. It's not saying that Jaylon Smith automatically leaps to the front of the pack, but they obviously want to increase their options there.
Mike, I'd love a thought also on Isaiah Foskey. We've talked a lot about the other rookies, but that's a guy they used a high draft pick on that we just haven't heard a lot about so far. Is there anything of note there yet?
No, well, unfortunately, yeah. He's one of the guys that every time I take a look at him, he hasn't flashed yet. And Dennis Allen actually just talked about him today and kind of kindly put it that he wants to see him kind of play more free or open it up or let it loose or whatever his exact term was. He said he still thinks he's like kind of thinking a little bit. So we haven't seen him flash yet. Now, to be fair, we haven't seen anybody tackle anybody yet either. Right. 2 weeks into practice. So you take all the assessments of linemen with a grain of salt, but I think he is one that has not flashed right on the scene as much as, say, Brian Brzee or a third-year guy that's finally healthy and Peyton Turner. Those guys have flashed for me a lot more.
Well, I'm actually really relieved to hear you say that Peyton Turner has flashed. Because obviously when you invest the draft capital that the Saints did, you want to get a return on that. And it feels like this is the make or break for Peyton Turner if they're going to pick up his 5th-year option and so on. So give me a sense, Mike. What do you feel is realistic for Peyton Turner this year?
Well, I'm trying to caution myself because I've made this reference a couple times on our show that I worry I'm kind of trying to will it to happen. Like, I'm watching him and thinking, oh, that looks like a first-rounder. But the traits are unmistakable. I mean, it's very similar to watching Brian Brzee. I mean, it's just a different type of athletic makeup. He's big, he's long, he's slippery, he can move. He's got rip moves and swim moves, and he can get out of the pack and run to the sideline and chase down a runner. And all those things are great, and you just don't know if they're going to translate until, it's great to get a swim move in a one-on-one pass rush and say, wow, that guy looks great, but, does he run into the guard in a real football game? Does he only get to the quarterback twice and he gets stymied 70 other times? Does he stay healthy? Those are all the things that can't be proven on the practice field, but everything you want to see, including the fact that he hasn't missed a practice, in OTAs, mini camp, or training camp. That wasn't the case last year. He missed all of OTAs and mini camp last year. He was injured in training camp the year before. He was injured during both seasons. It's been a lot of stops and starts with him, and I think we're seeing the progress that comes along with having a full, healthy offseason.
He's Mike Triplett, NewOrleans.football. Conversations every Thursday for as long as the Saints are playing football. Heretofore, brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. You know what's interesting, Mike, is we always kind of go into camp, at least the last several years you and I have done this and spoken. Okay, well, who's going to be the quarterback? Where is Taysom Hill fitting in? Like, we're not asking any of those questions this year for obvious reasons. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, I sure think so. I mean, Taysom Hill, we actually just talked to him today, and he did get, do you know what your role is going to be? But he made a really good point earlier this summer that this is the first offseason where they've looked at the film of last year and they're saying, we're building off that. Like, they found a really, believe it or not, the year Sean Payton left, they finally used Taysom Hill the best they've ever used him. He had almost 100 carries and he averaged 6 yards a carry. He was a huge part of their run game. Now, I do wonder if that role will be lessened now that they have more running backs to choose from, now that they have more quarterback depth. But that is interesting. Absolutely, with Derek Carr, there's no quarterback controversy. I think we know the pecking order at running back. We know the pecking order at wide receiver. The offensive line, we generally know the one big competition being James Hurst versus Andrews Pete. But the big question mark at a lot of those positions is health. And that's what's derailed in the last couple of years. So far, so good, though.
So what don't we know that we're hoping to find out Sunday against the Chiefs?
Well, we're not going to find anything out Sunday against the Chiefs definitively, obviously. We'll feel a lot better about the team if we see the first-string offense, which will probably play maybe 2 series, go down there and have an 8-play touchdown drive and look smooth and efficient. But it wouldn't surprise me if they do. That won't guarantee that, they're going to blow the doors off the place. But that'll be nice to see. Like I said, one of the worry spots that I feel a lot better about is the defensive linemen. In addition to what I said about Peyton Turner and Brian Brzee, I think Carl Granderson and Malcolm Roach have had 2 of the best camps of anyone on the team. But I want to see that translate into actually getting sacks and tackles for loss against live action, and make sure that's not just looking good in non-contact practices that aren't even always in pads. So those are a couple of the big ones I'm looking at. My biggest concern with this team, though, is I'm going to feel great about this team as long as they have most of their starting 22 players out on the field. It's when they have injuries and they have drop-offs at a lot of positions. That's when the real concerns are going to come in for me.
Is Mike Triplett's with us just for a couple more minutes again on Twitter at Mike Triplett. Give him a follow. NewOrleans.football, courtesy of our friends at Benny's Car Wash. So you said the first 22. As long as that first 22 are out there, you're going to feel good. Is there a spot in the first 22, or where is the spot in the first 22 where you might still think, okay, they need to improve there, or that's a question mark there?
The defensive line was number 1 for me, which is why I've listed that as one of the most promising things about camp. If it's Carl Granderson at defensive end, or if Peyton Turner beats him out, I feel pretty good about that spot after seeing how good Carl Granderson looks. Defensive tackle, I don't know that anyone's going to star, but the rotation of Colin Saunders and Brian Brzee and Nathan Shepard and Malcolm Roach, I feel better about that than I did a couple weeks ago. Tight end is a position I've started to feel a lot better about. I always liked Juwan Johnson, but I think Foster Moreau looks really good, and whatever Jimmy Graham's going to add to this team is interesting. Offensive line, I love their starting 5. If you give me, 15 starts apiece for each of their offensive linemen, I think you might have a top 5, top 10 offensive line. But that's my biggest concern on the whole team is how many games are those guys actually going to start and stay healthy? There's injury question marks across the board on that team, and that could derail a lot of the things we're optimistic about.
All right, I got 2 more things. Number 1 is I would love a thought on Jimmy Graham, considering you covered him his first stint in New Orleans. Yeah. He was wayward for a while, and now, to me anyway, it's odd that he's back now as a 36-year-old.
Yeah.
And
36.
And he seems to be actually popping at camp. I mean, I haven't seen a day of practice. So if you would, a thought on this wayward process for Jimmy Graham to bring him home and what role he may actually have.
It's pretty fascinating to me. I mean, I guess maybe we should have seen it coming since Dennis Allen, in week 17 of last year, at the combine this year, before free agency, before the draft, repeatedly talked about one of the top things on his list was that they needed guys who could make contested catches, that they could throw to on third down, that they could throw to in the red zone. Obviously, we all hope Michael Thomas is a part of that equation, but that's what Jimmy Graham does. The interesting thing is he's not going to play more than, 20 snaps a game, 15 snaps a game in the red zone on third downs. He's not going to play special teams. He's not going to do a lot of blocking. So they already have that vision for him. They see a spot for a guy who can play that limited of a role. Those are the things that often make you wonder if a guy fits on the team, but that's built in already with him. Can he give you 15 value snaps a game? Absolutely. At the very least, be quite a distraction. A lot of guys don't get a chance to just play 15 snaps a game, but if they have that role for him, I'm intrigued to see it. He's still good at that. He still wins jump balls, and if he does get ahead of steam, he still knocks over a linebacker trying to get in his way.
This can be a yes or no. Is he a lock to make the team?
No, I don't think so. Okay. I don't think he's a lock to make the team, but like I said, if they have that vision for him going in, it's not that high of a bar to achieve to say, yeah, he looks ready to play 12 to 20 snaps a game.
Okay, last thing for you. The other big question we had a year ago at this time was Dennis Allen. He was a second-time head coach, but first year in New Orleans. They were replacing Sean Payton for the first time in a decade and a half. Where are we with Dennis Allen heading into year two?
Well, we is carrying a lot of weight in that question, Matt.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people who are starting in very different places with him. Look, we're not going to learn that from watching training camp. We're not going to learn that from watching this first preseason game. And really, talk to me if they start 1-3 or 2-4, and that's when you really get tested as a head coach. Hopefully, it never comes to that point for the Saints this year. But I like a lot of signs that I'm seeing, tea leaves I'm reading. He seems really comfortable. He seems really confident. They've given him every opportunity to succeed. He learned what worked what didn't work last year, what did work last year. He's got the exact kind of quarterback that is going to run the kind of offense that he and Pete Carmichael want to run here. He's got the kind of coaching staff, the guys he's worked with before, running his defense for him while he continues to call the plays. They gave him every resource. I mean, they kind of went all in this year as they always do, and instead of going cheap in any position. So he's got every opportunity, and I'm feeling off of his vibe that he feels pretty good about the team they've built and optimistic. So far so good on that track, but obviously we can't learn that in August. We can't know for sure.
He is Mike Triplett. Looking forward to doing this on Thursdays. Man, we appreciate the time as always. We'll have a preseason game to react to when we visit next week.
All right, real fake football. I can't wait.
I love real fake football. All right, he's Mike Triplett, NewOrleans.football. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, be well. Of course, our chats with Mike are brought to you by Benny's Car Wash. I'm a Benny's Car Wash Club member. I joined last year when they sponsored Mike's segment. I was like, well, let me go check out this thing that we're talking about. I think my membership is $16 a month. I'll tell you right here. Here's the unlimited. There's various degrees of the unlimited club. Yeah, the express wash is $16.99 a month. Unlimited amounts of washes. You can go all the way up to $44 a month, where you get the best wash plus all the interior detailing, and it's unlimited. They'll towel dry, vacuum it, do the windows, the dash, console, dusting, floor mats, all of it. It's incredible. It's incredible. I drive through Benny's 2-3 times a week. My car is always clean. It's great value, and there's Benny's Car Washes everywhere. And when you are an Express Club member, you save up to 30 cents per gallon when you fuel up at the gas stations there with the Benny's at the Be Quick. So anyway, Benny's Car Wash, you can go to bennyscarwash.com or just drive on into any Benny's. Tell them you want to join the Wash Club. But we appreciate Benny's for sponsoring the Mike Triplett segment all throughout the year. Okay, it's after further review. We will knock out a quick break. When we come back, One more LSU football thing for Mike Denbrock that I want to touch on. Denbrock talked about Jaden Daniels. He talked about the dramatic difference now as opposed to a year ago and sort of gave some color and illustration behind that. We'll get to that and then Otter Locks in about 15 minutes. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. As we mentioned, of course, you've got Saints preseason football on Sunday. You need all the goodies before you get for that game watch party on Sunday. Make sure you go pick them up at Rouse's. Also, remember, it is back to school time, y'all. So if you need those things for your kiddo's lunchbox that are going to be healthy options for lunch during back to school, get on by Rouse's. They've got Kind bars, 4 for $5. They've got Quest chips, 2 for $5. Quest bars, 2 for $5. They've got Celsius non-carbonated, sparkling water, 2 for $4. It's a great option as opposed to having a soft drink in the lunchbox. Cliff bars, Atkins shakes, protein shakes. They got it all. Back to school, better options for your kiddo's lunchbox on special right now at any of your Rouse's locations. You can always get to Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's. This feels like home.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you.
Experience luxury like never before in a 2023 Infiniti QX50 at your local Infiniti retailer.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
All right, LSU's back on the practice field again Friday. There's no media access for practice, so we're not going to get to watch practice on Friday, but there are player interviews. So we'll have the second opportunity here in fall camp to talk to LSU players tomorrow. If you can notice, if you're watching, you notice I get laughed at every day by the other gaggle of reporters out there because my face is red and my head is red from the sun. And I have a hat, glasses, and I'm wearing sunscreen, but somehow I'm still getting red, which is weird. Because I'm very dark complected. Like I have kind of like thick, leathery, like Italian skin. I'm not like a super pale white guy. So it's weird that my head, for some reason, is just getting really red.
What SPF were you using on that sunscreen?
30. You know what SPF stands for, Muse?
Oh, wait.
That's where I thought you were going.
No, I was genuinely curious. Sun protection factor? Was that it?
I think it was.
I think that was it.
Because I think you went formula.
I went formula. I think it was factor.
Yeah. I'll look it up in a minute. But I gotta go. Maybe the sunscreen I'm using is what's causing me initially because I'm using that spray stuff. No, I have face sunscreen, but it's just that's not economical to travel with all that. So I just have a 30 spray. I keep it in the door of my car, and before I walk. So maybe I think spraying that on my face.
That could be it.
Is what is causing it to be red initially.
That could be it.
Anyway, okay. To after further review, we did get to speak with Mike Denbrock after practice on Thursday. Love hearing Mike Denbrock talk offense. One of the things he said, and so much of the conversation was comparing where LSU is this year as opposed to a year ago at this time. Remember, let me remind you, a year ago at this point, the fan favorite to win the starting job was still Miles Brennan. You had 4 quarterbacks vying for the starting job. You were cross-training 5 different players at center to try to find your starter there. You still had Mason Smith. It was a completely different thing a year ago as opposed to now. Listen to how Mike Denbrock described his offense a year ago.
You watch last year's tape, and we're out there in survival mode offensively. Now we're deeper into the details, and we understand defensive looks better and what causes us issues, what doesn't, how to adjust it. All those things get better with time, good Lord willing. And with the veteran guys that we have, that's been the case so far, where their recognition level, their understanding of the details of their position in particular has gotten better and better and better. And what that hopefully leads to down the road is the ability to move those guys into different positions and let them go and cause some angst on the defensive coordinator's part.
Did you hear the first thing he said? Play it again, just the first part.
You watch last year's tape, and we're out there in survival mode offensively.
We're out there in survival mode offensively. LSU averaged nearly 35 points a game a season ago. And I know Arkansas wasn't pretty. There were those. But there's a reason they call it an average. And you averaged 34.5 points a game when you were in survival mode. So now that you have your offensive line settled and you have a 5th-year starter at quarterback and you've got 8 scholarship running backs and you got a whole herd of tight ends that you love and you got a bunch of tall, long, freak show athletic wide receivers, how much better are you going to be? Whew. Listen to Mike Denbrock talk about the difference going into Florida State this year as opposed to going into Florida State last year.
I think about going into the Florida State game a year ago, and there were a lot of unknowns. I don't know how well they knew us, and I don't know how well we knew them. It's just a whole different feeling and vibe around the growth that we made during the season, allowing those guys to have a little bit more of a head start into what we can possibly become if we continue to work really hard at it as fall camp goes along and as the season goes along.
He raved about his tight ends. He gushed about Malik Neighbors. He lauded a couple of Baton Rouge guys in Chris Hilton and Shelton Sampson. Hilton is the guy that has emerged now as the number 4 receiver. You've got Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Kyron Lacey. Those are your first 3. And the next guy up is Chris Hilton, and he has really performed well. And honestly, today, when we were watching 11 on 11s, as they were rotating receivers, it was Hilton, and then it was Shelton Sampson. So I think he is making a push as well. As a matter of fact, can we play with – this was play number 20? This is what Mike Denbrock said today about Shelton Sampson.
gifted as any wide receiver we've got on the roster. He's swimming in the deep end right now, like a lot of the younger kids are. But when he knows what to do, and he is incredible athleticism, great catch radius, can run a lot better than people give him credit for. And I'm hoping that that's just going to add to what we are if he can continue to come along.
And out of obligation, Cali High. But the biggest linchpin in all of this is Jayden Daniels. And remember, a year ago at this point, Jayden Daniels was still in a quarterback competition with Miles Brennan, Garrett Nussmeier, and Walker Howard. He ain't in a competition anymore.
Year 2 allows him a comfort level from a knowledge standpoint, from a knowledge of not only offense, but knowledge of personnel standpoint, where he feels like he can let it rip a little bit more. And we continue to encourage him to do that more and more and more. And I think he's taken upon himself as much as anything to play that way and be aggressive and make sure that he's given opportunities where they're needed and being smart with the football at the same time, but also understanding that we've got some pretty dynamic people around him that need to have their hands on the football, and he's done a really good job of continuing to develop where that's concerned.
Let it rip. Let it rip. It's music to a lot of LSU fans' ears when you hear the OC say the quarterback is at a point now where he's letting it rip. The other thing, I know that I get asked a lot when I do interviews in other markets. People have asked me a bunch. What is the role for Garrett Nussmeier on this team? And right now, the role for Garrett Nussmeier on this team is he is the backup quarterback who will play if LSU's up 50 or if Jayden Daniels gets hurt. Now, God willing, that doesn't happen, meaning he doesn't get hurt. But you ask the question because leading up to the bowl practices, and then in the bowl game, Jayden had 2 series, Garrett had 1, and then in spring we saw Garrett take some reps with the ones. We have been out there and seen hours of this team practice, and Garrett Nussmeier has not taken a rep in team drills with the first team offense. Jayden Daniels is the starter. He is running with the ones. He's running all the reps with the ones. So that has got to be a dramatic difference for Jayden Daniels from a year ago. His comfort level, his confidence, all that sort of stuff. So LSU's offense looks poised for a big year. Now, Thursday was the first day we saw the defense have the upper hand over the offense. But so far to this point in camp, it has been an offensive highlight reel. And I suspect we're going to see a lot of them in the regular season as well. You want to bet on the Tigers? You can. DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. If you're a new customer, bet $5 on anything. They'll give you $150 in free bets. In bonus bets. $150 in bonus bets instantly at the DraftKings Sportsbook. So, you want to bet on the Tigers' futures? Win total, over, under. You want to bet on the LSU Florida State game? You can. You want to bet on the national championship odds? You can. You want to bet on NFL preseason? Full NFL preseason slate this week starts tonight. Get in the action tonight. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. New customers make a $5 bet on anything, and they'll give you $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code Baton Rouge. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Licensed partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. All right, y'all. It's after further review. We'll get to Otter Locks to wrap up the show next. See what the Otters got us betting on. When we come back, we'll do Otter Locks to wrap it up. It's AFR.
AFR. Hey,
if you're looking for a place to watch preseason football tonight, no place better than Pluckers. You know what tonight is? Thursday. You got Houston and the Patriots tonight. You got the Vikings in Seattle tonight. A couple of NFL preseason games. You want the best place to watch? Get by Pluckers. Because at Pluckers, every Thursday, all you can eat boneless buffalo bites. So get there early. Look, Houston and New England, they start at 6 o'clock. They're starting 12 minutes from right now. And then the late game tonight at 9 is Minnesota and Seattle. The great thing is, Pluckers is open till midnight or later every night of the week, so you can get there at 6 for the first game, stay there past midnight for the second game, and pay one price and eat as many boneless buffalo bites as you want all night long tonight at either Pluckers location. That's white meat, breaded, fried, tossed in your favorite wing sauce, and you can eat as many of them as you want all night long tonight and every Thursday at Pluckers. It's Pluckers. Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery Pluckers. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota Camry for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new Toyota Camry for only $489 per month. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Thursday edition of AFR. We got one thing left to do, find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Otterlocks.
Otterlocks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the Ott father himself, Jimmy Ott. The Delmar hangover continues. An 0 for 3 night for the Otter.
You know, meaningless home run in the top of the ninth anyway for most, not for us. So that killed our run line there. And then, So you know what? You know, when you go into funk, what do you go to? You go
the
to
NFL?
and look at absolutely meaningless NFL games.
Yes.
So, yes. New England, Jones, and Bailey Zappi, I'll take them over Stroud and my boy from Stanford, Davis Mills from Stanford. Thank you, Charlie. We complete our sentences, by the way. His wife came to visit. I said, "Look, don't interrupt me and Charlie's quality time." So come on.
Wait, all right. So what else? Is that all we got? Is just Houston?
No. Patience, Grasshopper. Okay, New England in the points. Split it. Points in money line should be about plus 130 in the money line. Seattle, Drew Lock. We know him, right?
Yeah.
He's better than, what's that again, Charlie? The backup from Minnesota? He's really bad. So, anyway. And then we're going to
Where
take
are y'all?
Modesto.
Okay. It's a good place, man.
Oh, great. Happy hour. Great happy hour. 2 to 6.
I'm not in any way surprised that it's...
And then Kansas City and Boston, we go back to the scene of the crime.
Nope.
Okay? And that meaningless solo shot, plus 190 is just too much. I mean, Kansas City's hitting the ball right now. So we'll take a stab at a big dog in Kansas City, plus 190.
1 minute remaining.
All right. I'm going to choose to sit this one out.
And Colucci has the one horse in the 7th at Del Mar.
Tomorrow.
Don't worry. Max is just around the corner. Yeah, just be right.
I can't wait. All right, Otter, you'll be at
Charlie,
Rufino's.
hello. Hello, man. There you go. Okay.
He'll be at Rufino's tomorrow. Listen at your own peril. Thank you, Otter.
Have a nice day.
Okay, we'll see. You know, as the program director of the station, I made the conscious and sound decision to put those two back on air at 11 a.m. What have I done? For the first time, I'm more concerned about someone other than T-Bob on this lineup. I got to go.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoni.com. I was out at LSU football practice today. Dr. Blake sent me a text, and it was a video. And it's one of his patients. And I'm going to get the video. We'll play it tomorrow. But it's one of his patients who was just stopping by, just popped in to say hello to Dr. Blake about 3 years ago. He had cataract surgery and is got great vision now. And humbled and thrilled, heard about Dr. Blake on AFR. And he changed his life. And I know that's so impactful for Dr. Blake, but I love hearing it too. And not that I'm doing anything other than just helping people spread a message that changes people's lives. When you give yourself the gift of sight, it's incredible. Dr. Blake gets to do that every single day, and I encourage you to make that phone call to the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020 or williamsoni.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further.